I'm Lazy B, just a seeker, a story keeper, and we're still watching, waiting for justice.
Hey, everybody. Oh, Beach Bum, that's so kind. Thank you. Happy Friday. How is everybody? Welcome, Mrs. Georgia Mom. Happy you're here. And Beach Bum, thank you so much. Good to see y'all and happy Friday. I mean, what is up with all these hitman cases? What is going on? Can people just get a divorce and deal with a parenting plan? John Smith, Millie. I think I saw. Is that a rhetorical question? Millie, you want to change your name? Just type in Google, it'll tell you how to do it. Oh, Beach Bum's helping you out. Press your avatar. I saw, oh, I know, we had withdrawals. I was in Mississippi. Hey, Sir Tedrick Walker, good to see you. Oh, Fresca Fund, thank you. I've actually got some Fresca in here. There's nothing else in here. But some Fresca. Good to see everyone. Yes. Who plans to attend Wendy's trial? Hit like. So one of my dear friends, I'm not going to say her name, but she might be in here. She has just gotten turned on to the Dan Markel murder rabbit hole and all about the Adelsons. And I am like loving it. Like, you know, we've all had these friends that we keep telling about it, and they're just like, what? I don't understand. But it's so awesome. Yeah, well, we get into courtroom 3G. We're probably going to have to rent out the basketball stadium at FSU or something. Oh, a party bus? That sounds fun. Yeah, they do need to upgrade their courtrooms. I agree. Well, I'm happy that everyone is here. So, um, I'm working on my opening just so I have it like down. But welcome. I'm Leslie B. And I started this channel about, gosh, it was last March, and it was really just a creative outlet, and it was leading up to the Donna Adelson trial. And I really started growing it with just making shorts, which would be kind of like a TikTok video. And I was just using it as a creative outlet because I would see things online and like, oh, I want to make a video like this and like that. And it just kind of developed and grew over time. And then I started posting them on YouTube, and here we are today. But I just consider myself to be an independent investigator. I love to go and dig into legal documents, court filings, and just seeing what all we can find. But everything is opinion. This is all commentary. Everything's allegedly. We're not saying anybody's guilty until they're proven guilty in a court of law. And I just want everyone here to feel like y'all are sitting down with a friend. And I know there's a ton of channels out there, and I know there's a lot of content, and there's a lot of people that cover different things. So I just appreciate it when y'all come spend time with me. So thank you. And I appreciate it if you hit like or subscribe. It's free. And I would love to get to 15,000 subscribers. That's my next goal. So, hey, Raven in the South. Oh, I forgot. I got to put the rat in my hair. I had the, I'll find it when I'm playing Kim Jensen's proffer. Have y'all seen Kim Jensen from Shanna Gardner? The, I know someone got mad at me. They're like, you shouldn't talk about people's looks, but I think she's still looking for the roller brush because it's all tangled up in here. Hey, Dre Law Reality Check. Good to see you. Hey, JJ Ferris. Hey, Black Widower. Always good to see you. And Clarissa. Coercive control is a crime. Hey, did y'all see that our buddy, who's the one that's always defending Wendy online? Oh, what's his name? Glenn Thomas. He commented to let me know that Jane was not best friends with Wendy, which I know. I mean, they were friends when she came to the police station. But I invited him on the channel. I said, you should come on one night and do a live. So let's see if he does. He wants to tell us everything. So I'm going to give him the opportunity to come on here. So if y'all see him out there, tell him to contact me. Hey, Jenny Beauty. It's always good to see you. People can't do that, unfortunately. Sorry, I've already lost what that was. This is life. Oh, thanks for the jewels. I appreciate that. So sweet. Oh, can't go to the trial. Yeah. Hey, is it Zoad? That's a fun name. Jacksonville spent $350 million on that new courthouse. So I did not watch all of Mario's trial, but I watched a good bit of it. That is a very fancy courtroom. It's much nicer than even a federal courthouse courtroom, and that one was pretty fancy. But the sconces are too bright on the wall. It's just like it's so spread out, but it does look very, very nice. Hey, Ruth Ann, good to see you. MW, if I missed anybody, I'm really sorry. I don't mean to, but I thought we would just kind of jump into everything. I've just been thinking about like all the different trials and cases that I follow, and I just tend to get drawn to these hitman cases, especially with women defendants. I don't know what it is about that. Um, the Shanna Gardner whole situation, the whole side curveball that thing got this week, it's really bothered me. I don't even know what to think about these SA. I don't know. It's just odd timing. And Jose Baez, I'm a little concerned, but it really just started making me think like, why does somebody hire a killer? Over what? 50% of people get divorced, right? I mean, this is not a new thing. It's sad, very sad, but it is true. Is it for money? Is it control? Is it revenge? Like, what is the reason? And I think with Shanna, however you pronounce it, she's not on trial yet. It's been delayed again till May of 2027. But that was just all about control, right? She just didn't want her ex to have the kids. And then I think she had Kim Jensen in her ear, right? There's always like that person that's in your ear, right? And then we've got the murder of Dan Markel and Wendy Adelson. So what was it about with her? Was it because of Mama, Donna? I think it was. I mean, Donna was in her ear, but was she also worried that she was going to get in trouble with the bar and she had lied on her financial affidavit in her divorce? And Donna was in her ear. And then we've got another one that's a little bit different, but we've got Angelia Solomon, who will be on trial in January here in Tennessee for solicitation of first-degree murder. But unbeknownst to her, she was talking to an undercover agent, and she wanted to kill her ex-husband. So who was in her ear? What was it about? I think it was about money because we were hearing a lot about Gracie was going to get a trust fund. That's my opinion. But I just thought we could all kind of touch on all these different cases because it's concerning. It definitely is concerning that this goes on. I think there's a lot of it's parental alienation, and we know that's a true problem, and it backfires. I have seen it. I have seen parental alienation with friends and their kids, and it does not end well. Kids figure it out, especially nowadays with the internet and everything. Hey, Marie, good to see you. Blackador. Well, why do people hire me to teach and mentor? Because they can't or they think it's below them. Imagine it's the same. That's a great point. Yeah. Kim Jensen. It was very, very different. But I don't know if y'all have seen, this was a hearing 2 years ago, and they review in detail the text messages between Kim and Shanna Gardner. Oh, it's like unbelievable. And then I saw her on the stand this week in Mario's trial. It was a proffer, and the jury was not in there, and they ended up not using her because it was pretty worthless. You could tell the prosecutor was frustrated. And I thought, I'm going to go back and see what these text messages said. They talk about casseroles, and that's So there's all these code language. So I was writing down today the different codes. So we'll have to figure out if Angelia Solomon had a code language. We haven't seen her text, right? We haven't seen any of that. But we know with the Adelsons, the TV's about 5, right? That meant murder. Take out Dan. Fibbers is what they called Dan. Then with Shanna Gardner and Kim, they talk about casserole and funeral potatoes. So they're Mormon. Well, I think Shanna had left the church, but that is code for the death of Jared. Then they call Jared stupid. And then they also talk about do magic, make him disappear. That's also code. It's pretty sick. But the amount of text that Kim and Shanna Gardner have. So, oh, I'm so happy y'all are here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start playing this. This is the detective on the screen, and then I'll keep going through the chat. But they're going to show the text messages. I'm just going to show segments.
Last contact with Miss Gardner.
Yes, it was.
Now, after that point, you began to develop leads in your investigation, and you began to look at some point at Ms. Gardner and Mr. Fernandez Aldana suspects.
That's correct.
And you zeroed in on Henry Tenen and were able to identify him as a person of interest, perhaps the shooter.
Correct.
And after his arrest, you were able to obtain evidence
Just so y'all know, the keyboard typing is not me, it's the court reporter.
further into his involvement, as well as the involvement of Ms. Gardner and Mr. Fernandez Aldana.
That's correct.
I want to go through some of what your investigation revealed after you last spoke with Ms. Gardner. And for the court's information, in the state's exhibit, there's a composite 7. It's an extraction report of a cell phone belonging to a woman named Kim Jensen. Detective Johns, who is Kim Jensen in relation to Ms. Gardner?
Kim Jensen was a lady that Miss Gardner met when she moved to Jacksonville. They were a member of the same ward or church, and they became very good friends, by all means, best friends.
Did their friendship begin before Jared Brightigan?
I also want to say it is just mind-blowing to me how much crime there is within the Mormon church. If y'all have ever been to CrimeCon or heard about it, I've been to 2, but there's a whole like theme of it there. It's, in my opinion, it's a cult.
And Ms. Gardner were
Blackfoot
divorced?
door, thank you.
Their friendship did begin before their divorce, correct?
So she knew her when she being Ms. Jensen, knew Ms. Gardner when she was married to Jared Brightigan.
Yes, that's correct. And in fact, she knew Jared longer than she knew Miss Gardner.
Based on your investigation, we see her text messages. At some point, did you obtain a cell phone download of Kim Jensen's phone?
We did.
And was there contact between Ms. Jensen and Ms. Gardner?
There was extensive contact on a daily basis between the two of them,
For how long?
at least going back to 2015.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, so Shanna Gardner, her parents started a multi-level marketing company in the 80s called Stampin' Up, and they're worth millions. Online, it says anywhere from, it could be in the hundreds of millions, we don't know. And I think they have 4 daughters, and all the daughters have trust funds, but in order for them to have access to the trust fund, they have to be married, okay? It's warped, but they're Mormons.
And how frequent was their contact with each other?
It was numerous times a day, phone calls, text messages,
Voice notes?
all kinds of things.
And from your review of, not relevant to the homicide necessarily, but for context, your review of their contact, did they seem to have a very close and open relationship?
It would certainly appear that way.
They talk about the most intimate details of their lives.
Yes.
So again, so here we got Shanna and Kim. They're talking about intimate details and texting. It's a little bit like Ruby Frank and that Jody. It's almost like a relationship, if you will.
Those mundane details of their lives.
Yes.
So we're looking at your state's composite exhibit 8. These are text messages on Ms. Jensen's phone that you found between her and Shanna Gardner dating back to 2015. And we're going to start there and work our way forward to 2022. I know it's difficult to read. Can you please describe for the court the conversation, tone, and tenor between Ms. Gardner and Ms. Jensen regarding Jared that began around this time period?
The context of this particular chat chain is Shanna telling Ms. Jensen that Matt is ready to come over there and to talk to him, meaning Mr. Bradigan. She said it would not get physical, and maybe then moves on to basically say, that they could maybe encourage it to become physical at some point.
Ms. Stifler, what did you identify this as?
This would be State's Composite Exhibit 8.
8, okay. Thank you.
Sorry, my computer decided to reset its password in the middle of this.
Okay.
In 2015, what was the status of Shanna Gardner and Jared Bradigan's relationship?
In the beginning of 2015, they were still married and they did eventually divorce in 2015.
Moving on to page 2 of State's Composite Exhibit 8, more text between Ms. Gardner and Kim Jensen, and what are they talking about here?
It says Matt was ready to come over here today and talk to him. It wouldn't get physical yet, but I tell him if these things happen, X, Y, and Z, then A, B, and C will happen to him. And if he calls the cops, Matt would know, and A, B, C would happen. He said, I tell him he can thank the beautiful woman he's leeching off of that he is even still alive, because if it were up to him, he would have disappeared months ago. I told him your comment about the casserole, ha ha ha. We both had a good laugh.
Okay, and then Ms. Jensen replies, and she talks at some point in this text here about funeral potatoes. Did that phrase become relevant to your investigation?
It did. There were two phrases that kind of were a continuation during all of their text messages. One of those referred to as a casserole, also aka funeral potatoes, or then there was the phrase of doing magic.
Right.
Sorry.
So sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Let's talk about the funeral potatoes casserole. Did these words, were they used frequently in conversations between Shanna Gardner and Kim Jensen?
Yes, they were.
And in what context were they used?
In reference to the death of Jared.
So this will be interesting with the new allegations that have come out that Mario was essaying. We don't know who, we're assuming who it is. But there's a lot of text evidence against her that she wanted Jared gone. And this was back years prior to the murder. And yes, I've got my rat on my head. You'll see in a minute.
So there's more text here about funeral potatoes. These are,
I wonder if Angelia Solomon has any text like this on her phone. That will be interesting, won't it? Patricia Burns says, I think Angie wanted to get her ex after what she alleges he did to her children. Yeah. Right? Sir Tedrick, the other women jealous their spouses moved on? Sure. Yep.
in fairness, everybody blows off steam when they're mad at their ex.
Absolutely.
Okay. But at some point, did these texts continue and escalate to the point where they became significant to your investigation?
There was a continuation of this type of texting between them throughout their entire relationship that we were aware of, starting in 2015 through at least 2021. And I would say that the messages get much more vulgar than this.
So here we have, again,
Wait, the messages are more vulgar? We want to see them. Small Town Girl, your favorite podcasters live in Tennessee? Well, awesome. Where do you live? Peachy Keen, does anyone know who the Clancy husband worked for? He was with Microsoft at one point, but I know early on when he testified there, he was with like a smaller startup in the tech world.
State's Composite Exhibit
Casseroles,
8,
Southern.
text messages from 2015. Shanna Gardner saying, I would happily watch them give him the lethal objection. They're talking about they would love to see him get the death penalty and they could make a casserole. And moving on, again, State's Composite Exhibit 8. More text messages.
So on this, Kim Jansen says, don't write off it being a bad day yet. If I can't make a casserole, prison is the next best option. So if you saw the short video that I posted earlier this week, there was a snitch from the jailhouse that said Shanna wanted Jared to go to jail on a RAPE case. So then they're like, well, if we can't make him a casserole, then we'll make him go to jail for that. And then Shanna says, yeah, maybe a road trip that he disappears from. Have y'all seen all this?
And these ones, there's a discussion. Can you describe to the court where this discussion develops?
These are essentially theories of what they could do to, Ms. Jensen refers to Jared as stupid.
Okay, so stupid, and we'll see that in other text messages. That was a nickname that Ms. Gardner and Ms. Jensen used to refer to Jared Wright.
Correct.
Okay. So what direction does this conversation take?
It's essentially just more about ways that Ms. Gardner is unhappy with Mr. Wright, that she would like for him no longer to be alive. And then they talk about casserole, and then they will move on to other things as far as how to cause his death.
These are difficult to read. This is State's Exhibit Composite 9. These are texts in 2016, and the next slide will be zoomed in a little bit. But here we see Ms. Gardner. This is the first time she brings up the word hitman in her discussions with Ms. Jensen. Can you describe for the court what this conversation?
This is 6 years before Jared's murder, 2016. And he was murdered in, I think, February of 2022. That's how long. I don't understand why Kim has an immunity deal. She needs a conspiracy charge, in my opinion.
Centers around and how it develops.
Essentially, Ms. Gardner's upset.
Yeah.
She says it's too late to get a hitman. I'm serious. I think Ms. Jensen is trying to kind of talk her down a little bit. And then they move on to basically where they start talking about, does she know anyone that could actually carry out this plan?
And we see that down here in the bottom. You can draw on the screen too if there's anything you want to circle. That Ms. Jensen says, I know Sue's husband knows people. Ms. Gardner replies, I'm not even joking, I want him gone.
Okay, so now I'm going to switch over to, this is Kim in court this week for her proffer. So this is her in her dress.
Have that, then what?
I love this judge. She's like, why
All right.
are you here?
So, Ms. Jensen, first, let me make sure that you understand. Do you understand what your attorney is explaining to the court?
I do.
Okay, which is what?
I'm sorry, Amethyst.
That I have
You have a constitutional right.
to invoke,
Right. And so the state is giving you a subpoena. So that means that,
I was forced to come here, not,
I was forced to come here. And the judge is like, compelled.
right?
right, but you're compelled to come here.
Right.
But on top of that, more important than that is that.
So I think the Gardners and the Adelsons are similar. I think the Gardners have way more money. Okay? Way more money. And let me just say, as far as the Mormon thing, I did not mean to offend you, Amethyst. I will just say my exposure to it are the ones I see in true crime. So maybe that's a fairer assessment.
If they gave you that subpoena, that means that your testimony, since they're compelling you to talk, to testify, then you would have immunity as to the answers.
yes.
Okay. So that's important to understand, because otherwise, if you did not have that, then they could possibly use this as some sort of information or statements to use against you. You understand that?
I do.
All right. So the second part of this is that this is a proffer, meaning that they're going to call you to the witness
So Kim has the same kind of immunity deal that Wendy has, right? Is that y'all's interpretation?
stand. There won't be a jury here,
sis.
so I'm going to determine whether these questions would be asked in front of the jury or not. So what's important is that, like, I try to explain this to witnesses because proffer means an offer of proof. So he's going to ask you some questions that he would want to ask in front of the jury. So I like to explain it to witnesses because you're like, why are they asking me the same thing again? It's because the jury's not here. The jury is the fact finder. Do you understand that?
I do.
And so I'm trying to make a legal ruling, all right?
Okay.
You've already been sworn in, so you can go ahead and take the witness stand. You can take the microphone away from her. There's one on the witness stand.
Thanks, Ron. You want to take this?
So there's a slight incline here, okay?
So sometime y'all can type in Kim Jensen on YouTube and you can see her police interviews, and she just talks and talks and talks and talks. She gets up on this stand and she's like barely talking.
Thought you wanted her to go out and come back. Thought you wanted her to go out and come back in.
Did you want me to go back out?
No, not yet. You just have a seat.
Hey, tennis girl.
Right, Mr. Mizrahi.
Please state your name for the record.
Kim Jensen.
And how do you know Shanna Gardner?
I initially met her probably 11 years ago through church.
And would you consider yourself close friends with Shanna Gardner?
Yes,
Have you had the opportunity to review a series of text messages that have been labeled States Exhibit 10F for identification?
I did.
And are these some of the text messages that you and Shanna Gardner exchanged and you and Susan Lee exchanged?
They are.
Your Honor, I would enter this as a court exhibit.
All right.
Exhibit 1.
I'm assuming no objection to that for the court exhibit.
As a court exhibit, no objection.
Okay, can I see it? Thank you. You can proceed.
Thank you. So Ms. Jensen, many of those text messages have to do with Shanna Gardner's ex-husband, Jared Bridigan. Is that true?
Correct.
Describe for the record how the divorce went and how the child custody went with regard to Shanna Gardner and Jared Bridigan.
From a legal standpoint, I guess the divorce went quickly, but it was not amicable at all. And the child custody was 50-50. And that was the ruling.
How did Ms. Gardner feel about Jared Bridigan as a father?
He frustrated her as a father.
And did Ms. Gardner share with you that she wanted to have more custody of her children?
Shanna wanted more communication more than
Shanna wanted more communication. No. Shanna did not want to share her kids, and she wanted him gone, but she still wanted access to her trust fund. So then she gets divorced from Jared, goes to CrossFit, and marries the maintenance man after 4 months. And then the parents let this maintenance guy be the trustee on her trust fund because they didn't want Jared to be able to get the money or something. This is a whole tangled web we weave. And this lady, if you want to call her that, Kim, is texting, trying to find a hitman for Shanna Gardner. And I almost wonder, is there some money enticing this lady?
anything.
Yeah. Does that include that she wanted more custody or no? Yes or no? Or I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm going to object to
Dennis,
leading.
I don't have an email.
She's free to answer the question on direct as she wishes.
I don't think giving 3 potential options of an answer.
I'll overrule it. Go ahead.
You would, let me ask you this. In those text messages that have been entered as a court exhibit, did Shanna ask about a hitman?
Those were in the text message.
And based on that request, you texted another friend, Susan Lee, about finding somebody for Shanna. Is that fair? Or-
That's not fair.
what do the words say?
The words say that.
You've testified previously that you were joking about this. Is that fair?
Something that had nothing to do with Shanna, yes.
She's saying the text had nothing to do. She was texting Shanna and then goes and texts this other lady like, hey, do you know a hitman we can get?
But you would agree that shortly after Shanna asked you for a hitman, that you then reached out to Susan Lee.
I'm going to object to leading again.
I'll overrule the purpose of the proffer, okay? So we can get through it.
Yes, ma'am.
I did reach out to Susan Lee.
And the words are what they are.
They are what they are.
I don't think Kim is sleeping well these days. What do y'all think? Pitiful. Her hair is falling out and she's got it all brushed. I mean, look at that. That is a face of depression and worry. Do not commit murder or try to assist with it, people.
Describe for the record
Allegedly.
how Shanna married Mario, what you knew about it, and then what your relationship was with Mario Fernandez.
How she married him?
Yeah, what did you know about it? Was it fast? Was it slow?
It was fast. She met him and then married him within just a few months. It was it was quick.
And what did you think about Mario Fernandez?
I thought she shouldn't marry someone so quickly because I didn't know Mario particularly.
I think she's got like alopecia or something. Sis, you should have been a detective, says. That hair makes her seem like she's lost her mind. Yeah, she's like combing it forward. I would have, if it was me, I would have bought like a clip of fake hair on Amazon and clipped it in or something. But this just shows y'all what stress will do.
And I didn't think that she was ready to move on.
Yeah.
And do you see Mr. Fernandez here in court?
I do.
Can you say where he is so you can identify him for the record?
Right there in the blue suit.
May the record reflect that witnesses identified the defendant.
Yes.
So did you have conversations in the presence of Shanna Gardner about Jared Bridegan with Mario Fernandez?
Maybe. Most of my conversations were strictly with Shanna.
In your meeting with Mario Fernandez, did you think that he was a boastful individual?
I did.
Did you think he would brag about being able to do things that you believed he could not do?
I did.
And was that, just describe a little bit more for us.
Mario was always a big talker. I always believed that he wanted to be the biggest person in the room. His personality was such that
Mario kind of sounds like Charlie Adelson a little bit. Cross between Katie McBanawa and Charlie Adelson. I won't be surprised if Shanna doesn't throw Kim under the bus, because Jose Baez, I think he's going to throw them all under the bus with all these new allegations.
He always had a story about everything. He always had, he always knew somebody. That was his personality. He had a very big personality.
And did that big personality sometimes relate to his Navy career?
I think it was Army, but yes.
So he would talk about doing big things in the Army?
Yes.
Did then Shanna Gardner ever share with you statements that Mario made about being able to fix things, take care of things?
And just
Yes.
for the record, I'm objecting as the same objections that I've made in my motion to eliminate, Your Honor, that you've ruled on.
So just so that I'm clear, this is the objectionable part that you're indicating. There's no objection to the previous testimony? Just so I know that what I'm ruling on.
Yes, well, it's very complicated. It agrees to that. Those conversations that Ms. Jensen just testified to.
Look at little Mario. He's like 5'4", 130 pounds. It's like the size I was in 6th grade.
Mr. Mizrahi specifically
Hey,
said that Mario was present for. So obviously there's no marital privilege to that.
Right, so y'all keep doing this. A proffer is get to the objectionable part. So like
I'm
if
not
there is no, Mr. Mizrahi, if there is no objection to that, I've heard Ms. Jensen testify before. And so if you could get to the part that you believe I need to make a ruling on, that's what I'd like to get to. If there's no objection to this and other stuff,
Your answer.
Fast forward. This prosecutor is over her.
I don't see an answer here. I said, my answer is, I heard the whole hearing, so I did hear the statements. I don't see where I answered that question.
Well, if you keep going, you do. 18, 19, page 77, lines 18 through 25.
Judel, I don't get why she sold out for her either. That's why I just wonder, is there a financial something? I mean, why is she so, it's kind of like Tova. I mean, I don't know.
Depending on the question, I guess it's possible, but I don't think so.
Okay. Now, turning to page 78, lines 5 through 7, do you recall the statement? We'll just do it like that, it's quicker.
Okay.
That there was a delay based on COVID?
My answer was, I never said anything about a delay in killing Jared because I never had any knowledge of Jared being killed or planned to kill him.
And then lines 13 through 16?
Not long after that, Mario had made a statement that he never goes anywhere. Neither did anyone else in COVID. Like it just didn't seem, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna ask you a couple more statements and then we'll be done.
Imagine you're like Gossip Girl Central texting constantly. Yeah, let's get him. Let's make casseroles and potatoes and let's do all this. And next thing you know, you got to get an attorney and go testify in this big murder trial. You think anyone's helping her with that?
Okay.
Yeah, words
Do you
matter.
remember a statement that was made shortly before Jared Bridegan's killing?
Can you be more specific?
Hawaii.
I remember talking to you about Hawaii.
Okay. Tell, for the record, and tell the court what you remember Shanna Gardner telling you.
Shanna told me that they were getting divorced and how they were going to go about that as far as the kids were concerned. And at some point, Mario asked her if she wanted him to take care of anything. And she said, Jared, and he said, or she said, absolutely not. I don't want anything to happen.
So say that again since you kind of mixed it up.
I love that. It goes, say that again since you mixed it up. And she's like, what?
What did I mix up?
Take care of who?
He asked if there was anything Shanna wanted him to take care of, and she said Jared, and then she said absolutely not.
Okay, so who said Jared?
Shanna.
So I want to break down. Mario Fernandez says, is there anything you want me to do to take care of?
Correct.
And then she said Jared.
Yes.
And then Mario said, okay.
Mario didn't say anything. She said no.
And then she said no.
And she said absolutely not is what she said.
And this is what Shanna Gardner is relaying to you a week or so before the homicide.
I can't be sure. I told you originally that I wasn't 100% sure which trip that was, because every trip had something to do with divorce in the past, in the couple of years prior.
Right. You know when the murder was.
I do.
And you were aware of this statement a couple of weeks before the murder.
If it was that trip, but I said I couldn't be sure because there were many trips.
Okay. All right, Your Honor, that's all the questions I have.
Tennis Girl's asking, does anyone have a theory as to why Mario was trustee for a while? You can't make sense of it. So she wasn't allowed to access her trust fund if she wasn't married. I mean, she could be not married, but I think she had to have no ongoing litigation or anything with Jared. So she married Mario to get access to her trust fund. But you're telling me all this money's flying out of the trust fund and the parents aren't raising an eyebrow? So to that, I went and found a little video on Stampin' Up. And I have been reading about all these people leaving it.
I'm Shelly Gardner. I am CEO
This is Shanna's mom, Shelly, who founded Stampin' Up, which I thought was a scrapbooking company, but apparently you make your own cards.
with Stampin' Up. Well, we started in 1988, so we're 25 years old this year. And we started with 2 employees and part-time people coming on originally. And we have nearly 500 employees and nearly 50,000 demonstrators around the world. You know, a lot of people, especially in Utah, assume that we are a scrapbooking company. We do sell products for scrapbooking, but those same products, which are stamps, ink and paper, and a myriad of accessories, they're used to create cards, gift wrapping, scrapbooking, home decor. We sell product through demonstrators, home party plan, and those demonstrators can make a little extra money or make a lot extra depending on how many hours they want to put into it. So I think for us, if I had to pick one thing, we focus more on people and relationships than we do on anything else. And the rest kind of.
So if y'all have ever seen Shanna Gardner's arrest video, that's her mom here that's sitting on the front porch of the Washington home. And they call all the salespeople demonstrators.
Happens naturally. It may sound a little trite,
Must have
but
been
we
Viber.
focus more on relationships, more on people than we do product. Product is really important. We want quality product. We want to be able to encourage creativity with our product.
I have my Wendy rat in my hair that Kim had.
That's what people work on every day in the office. But when it really comes down to it, we build relationships within the company and with our demonstrators outside of the company and their customers. When you ask how Stampin' Up! Made a difference, they don't usually say, well, I was able to buy a home, or I was able to pay off my husband's truck, or I paid for piano lessons. They usually go straight to the relationships.
Or I paid for a hitman for my daughter.
That's what's made the difference. The money just follows. Well, you love them all. Along with that, I mean, I've had board members over the years who have said, why do you have a facility in Kanab? Couldn't you be more profitable by moving those operations here in northern Utah? Yes, we could probably be more profitable, but it's important for me to have a presence there. I want to be loyal to them.
Now, y'all look at all this stuff. So y'all see what all that is on the shelves? Cha-ching for Jose Baez. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And apparently they just changed their commission structure and a bunch of these demonstrators are leaving the company. I've been in a rabbit hole today.
They've been loyal to us. The community there has been good to us. Why would I want to, for the sake of the almighty dollar, why would I want to move that up here? Now, I can give up some of the profit to be a part of a community that needs us, and we need them.
Wow, what a story. She can give up some of the profit.
What goes around comes around. And if you're focused on money, maybe money will come, but if you're focused on relationships, you get relationships and money. I'm passionate about the people I work with, and I'm passionate about our product and what we can do with our product. And that passion translates not just for me, but amongst each other from our demonstrators. They love what they do. They love showing people how to take our product and create something wonderful with it. And that isn't a turning point. That's an evolution. That's something that happens over time as you grow and evolve.
What do y'all think about that? It is Kate Gosselin here. Okay, so then I found there's a bunch of videos coming out that all these people are leaving the company. So this lady says she's leaving Stampin' Up, but I went into the comments and somebody said, so many of us are leaving. And then someone, I gave up on them when I heard about their involvement in keeping their grandchildren from their murdered father's family. So Jared's parents, just like the Markels, haven't been able to see those twins. Isn't that awful? You want to see some of the arrest video? Yeah, I'll play a little bit of it. And then I'm going to move on and do a little bit of Angelia. So when they arrested Shanna and the police were in there, or maybe they were doing a search warrant, but one of the twins said to the policeman, do you want mom's burner phone? Oh my God, are you kidding me? And they let her change clothes, which I think is ridiculous. Okay, that's her mom. Hmm.
We'll have to talk to these officers and say, okay?
They're like letting her change clothes, get her medicine. Oh yeah, when was the Markel Act passed?
I'm here, Shanna. I'm outside.
Oh, they're gonna call you.
Oh, yeah.
There's Shanna hanging out in her boxers, like, you know, probably making pancakes. The Markel Act was passed in 2022. And Jared was murdered in February, and then the Markel Act was in June. Interesting. And then they did leave. Good point, Beach Bum.
You want me to go get her shoes?
I agree, Roger. So they go and get her and move her across the country to Washington, y'all. Mormon Mafia. Oh, wow, Ruth Ann. The kids live in the town next to you, West Richland, Washington. Yeah, why did they leave Utah? Does anyone, law lover? Yeah, didn't the mom just say she stays in the area of the business? I mean, how far is Utah from Washington? It's a pretty... So they're getting, they're getting her shoes, and jeans.
Yeah. Yeah, is that okay? Is that okay?
I'll just forward a little bit of this. Her mom's packing all her meds. Yeah, boom. See, I think the Gardners need to be investigated myself.
It's gonna be the white vehicle back there. I'll go to the passenger side.
5 hours.
Yep.
Did you hear that? Her mom, I love you, honey. Like it's dropping her off at summer camp. I love you. Don't worry. We'll come get you out of jail. Wrong. No emotions with Shanna Gardner. I think that is wild. Toby has a medical condition, has to live on the coast. Oh, was that the one that needed oxygen? Ruth Ann, 10 to 12 hour drive from Utah to Washington. But anyhow, she's very polite, so y'all can type that in and go and see. But I think for her, she's just always gotten what she wanted, and I don't know. It's just interesting, the motives. But I think there always stems to be a little bit of parental alienation involved, right? People want control. Hey, Emily. Mia, think about it. In order to tell the truth, I need to protect myself from criminal prosecution because my involvement could result in me being criminally prosecuted. Right? Yeah, scare. I agree. This is so ridiculous that rules apply to some and not all if you're wealthy. The arrest of her and letting her like sit there on the chair and put on her shoes and then go jeans. And then it took a while and they're like, oh, she needed to use the bathroom. What? Yeah, Ravenwood. I thought of Raven in the South, not Ravenwood. Sorry. Wonder if the neighbors were looking out the window. Can you imagine? I'd be like, honey, you need to come in here and get coffee and see this. Yeah, I'd be outside with my coffee. Exactly. I agree. The parents, didn't Mario like withdraw 75,000 or transfer it to his checking account? Yeah, I wonder if they were tipped off too. Okay, so now we're going to move on to, this is a long crying little episode on Angelia Solomon, who was arrested last year for solicitation to commit first-degree murder of her ex-husband, Aaron. But I thought, for those of you new to me following this, I'm following this case. It's going to be on trial January of in 27.
Now, this is a case that has received a ton of attention in the Nashville area, and once again, it was in court this week. In the recording with the undercover officer that was posing as a hitman, Angie says the reason that she wants to allegedly kill Aaron is because she believes that he raped their daughter and killed their son. She also says that there's a large network of people covering for Aaron.
You keep saying they, who is it?
It's been on one network here. So that's part of who he operates with. That Good Boy network is involved in sex trafficking, pedophilia, they traffic racism, they traffic.
So I think maybe some paranoia there too. So she thinks, apparently, according to this, allegedly, that the governor of Tennessee is in a big trafficking ring here.
He's involved, so they have a much larger industry than just being attorneys. The governor, the governor, the state attorney general's committee, pastors of large congregations and churches, children are being taken, they're being drugged with ketamine, they're being raped and molested, and they don't know.
I think she just said ketamine. That's that stuff that Matthew Perry took. Ruth Ann, you'd be vacuuming your front lawn, right? Curtain twitching. Yeah, no kidding, Cat Ride.
They can hear, but they can't move.
In that recording, the undercover then asks Angie what she wants him to do.
Well, what do you need from me?
Well, I understand you can still work. What I've seen the last, I have my own people working for justice. The problem is what I've seen is that what he's doing in the last 6 months is I filed child support and then instead I dropped it. Sorry, drop it.
Okay, this cracks me up. So she says she filed for child support, but then she dropped it. Well, what happened was she's claiming she was owed. I don't remember what the amount was. Let's just say it's 20,000. I don't remember. And then he's like, oh, okay, then I'm going to countersue for what you owe me, which is over 124,000 allegedly in the civil court documents. So then she's like, oh, okay, I'll drop my case. But then she's talking about getting a trust fund.
And what I found out is, he's got teeth in it. He's never let it go. You can give that either has to be just like a counselor wants him. If It's like he belongs to prison or he belongs under the ground.
In prison or under the ground, Sir Tedrick, in my opinion. Yeah, so at what point is mental a defense, right? So I think we've all been watching parts of the Lindsay Clancy trial. And I've been saying in chats and things, I mean, I think a lot of prisons are full of mentally ill people, but that does not mean you don't pay for your crime, right? So like what is when have you crossed the line that you shouldn't be criminally responsible? That's what I would like to know. Now, I wanted to read y'all. I have been telling y'all about these affidavits. So this is the affidavit from Angie's sister. This is back in 2013. So this is when they were getting a divorce. And so apparently Angie had alleged that she had suffered abuse from her parents. So her sister did an affidavit or swore an affidavit, whatever the terminology is. My name is Julie. I live and work in Knoxville, Tennessee. I am over 18 years of age and competent to give this affidavit. I am Angelia Solomon's sister. Our parents are Jenny and Dan Huffines. It has been stated to me that my sister has informed numerous people that both she and I were sexually SA'd and physically abused by our parents, and that I witnessed my sister being SA'd. These statements by my sister are absolutely false. We both had very good childhoods, and our parents are good and loving parents. I am unable to understand why Angie makes these false statements, but only can attribute the same to her mental illness. Over the last several years, I have witnessed firsthand Angelia's mental deterioration and am quite saddened by the same and concerned for her well-being, as is our whole family. I, as well as our parents, have repeatedly asked her to seek help and have attempted to help her, all to no avail. I give this affidavit only for sincerity, for the truth, and to dispel the horrible statements she has made about our family. So, beach bum. Yeah, the whole with Wendy and against these children. I just don't even know what to think. I just think it's all very convenient for Mario, not for Mario, but it's just that this all comes up. Something doesn't sit right with me. Yeah, Mario and Biggerstaff's wife. I know, I saw that. I gotta go back and read through it. I know Prof. Joe did an awesome show today on it, and I need to start from the beginning. I'm wondering if Baez is going to say that she found out he was doing this to the children and or some they're going to use this just like Casey Anthony did, just like he did with Casey Anthony questioning, Casey Anthony's dad. Something's bad with this. Oh my gosh, Stampin' Up is worth $1.6 billion. Listen, if anybody knows anyone affiliated with that, they need to know the truth. Like, I'm curious if out there in Utah, do people realize that the Gardners are keeping these children from their grandparents? Scare, it might be her strategy now to appear as crazy, outlandish as possible to garner pity. But that's the thing. I mean, how can you blatantly say, I'm not crazy, whatever, all these years, and then all of a sudden now, oh, okay, I'm on trial. Okay, that's my defense. So money talks with the Gardners, right? That's why I was wondering about Kim. These are all just thoughts. Well, hey, Minnie Pearl, howdy. Good to see you. There are a lot of Adelson parallels with the Gardner case. Scare, she's successful at sounding unstable. I agree. Did any of y'all really follow the Lori Vallow stuff? I didn't follow as much in the Idaho trial, but I did follow the Arizona ones. And I see a lot of similarities there. Yep, Sir Tedrick, I agree. All three wives need prison time, in my opinion, right? And they're all alleged. Well, so Angelia is alleged. She hasn't gone to trial yet. Shanna is alleged. She hasn't gone to trial yet. And Wendy is a named co-conspirator, but she's unindicted. Yeah, Adelsons have envy over the Gardner's money. Yeah, Gardners have like big money. But can y'all imagine what Jose Baez, what his legal bill is? Millions. And I bet you when they continued this trial till May, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna need a check for another couple million. Yes, Mrs. Georgia Mom, she spent the GoFundMe money she raised for Grant's death on herself, in my opinion. Yeah, that's my opinion too, based on the deposition questions. We don't know. But based on what I've read in the deposition questions and the financial portion for the civil, it does seem to me that the GoFundMe money is missing, because when she goes up for the bond, the judge is like, well, what about the GoFundMe money? She can just use that. And they're like, well, I agree. Guilty or not, they seem to be a danger and risk to society. I agree. It scares me. I found a lady on YouTube. Let me show y'all. I'm inviting her on. She's going to be on a show, Alive, and we're going to read another affidavit probably next week if I can arrange it. Have y'all seen this lady?
Hello, everyone. KJ here. I hope she's going to take an overdose of pills, whether she was going to slit her wrist. The way that their order, that's what it really comes down to. But
She was talking about Lindsay.
it was in closing arguments too, and it's something that you have a responsibility to get help, and maybe if she's so out of it, but
So she definitely
be
wants
able-
Lindsay Clancy going to prison. This lady does, but she's following the Angelia thing. I want to
to
find what
look
she says.
normal in front of her friend was so sick that she would murder her kids. What's wrong with them? It just means that they need treatment. Just like OKJ, I have to have treatment too. What did she intend? Well, if you want to give her is hurt my children. I don't give a damn. If the voice like God said you need to take your kids out, I'd rather go to hell. Don't you think I'd be like, where's the medicine she was taking? At least doesn't deserve to be no freaking hero.
Hold on. Well, I should have found it ahead of time. I was trying to find, she says something about Angelia, but I'll have to find it another time. But she's going to come on with me. She lives in East Tennessee. Yeah, the GoFundMe. Yes, Gina. Hey, yes, I read her dad's affidavit on the last live, I think. We'll do another one too. I'll read it. Pathological vanilla extract. That's what I'm wondering, Beach Bum, back to the Shanna Gardner case. So now we don't know who the victims are of the essaying, right? We don't know. We're assuming it's maybe one of hers, but we don't know. We're speculating, I should say. But why is this coming up now? Like, I just have a lot of questions about it. Is this like, oh, the smoking gun, for the defense? I want to understand more. Beach Bum says, who did the kids tell, and did the grandparents know it and didn't report it? Yes. Yes, John Smith. Yeah, Sir Tedrick Garners are the Mormon version of the Adelsons. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Sir Tedrick, you think Angie knows right from wrong, just like Shanna and Wendy? Yeah. I mean, at some point you have to. And for all those that keep saying the wreck was never investigated, well, guess what? I got another court doc for you. So the son, Grant, died July 20th, 2020. It was a horrific just accident with his truck. It was in Gallatin, Tennessee. I've driven there on a field trip. Y'all can go see it in videos. And everyone's like, it wasn't investigated. It was. So here is a declaration. This is from May of 2021. So almost a year later. Okay. It says right here. I, Ronald Blanton, am of majority age and have firsthand knowledge of the following. I am an assistant district attorney for the 18th Judicial District of Tennessee, which includes Gallatin, Tennessee. After the death of Grant Solomon on July 20th, 2020, an investigation of Grant's death was conducted, and the investigators determined that Grant's death was an accident, and there was no basis to bring criminal charges related to Grant's death. The investigation was then closed. This is not out there on the podcast or anywhere on YouTube that I have seen, because I keep hearing these YouTubers and podcasters and all this stuff, and they're just like, never was an investigation, nothing was done. The police report, and it just says closed the day of the accident. Well, here it is, okay? 3, upon information supplied by an attorney for Grant's mother, Angelia Solomon, the investigation was reopened. But the investigating officers determined that there was no information that would substantiate even a probable cause finding to bring criminal charges related to Grant's death. Now, y'all know in the court system, probable cause is down here. And if you're not watching the screen, like low, and then beyond a reasonable doubt is like way up here. Not even enough for probable cause to bring criminal charges, okay? The death was again determined to be an accident and the investigation was closed. So my question is she was so determined, why didn't she sue civilly for a wrongful death? Maybe attorneys were like, yeah, not happening. Or maybe, I don't know, might have owed attorneys, maybe. After the second investigation was closed, I sent a second investigation was closed because again, I saw a podcaster, an old thing today, and he's like, oh, I just think it should be investigated. Okay. It was. I sent a letter to Miss Solomon's attorney stating that the investigation determined that Grant's death was an accident, that no charges would be brought related to his death, and the investigation was closed. A copy of this letter is attached as Exhibit A. There are no criminal charges being brought related to Grant Solomon's death, and there is no pending investigation. Okay? So I hope that will just get some people to, I don't know. I just don't think some people you're ever going to convince it, because I think some people have been so brainwashed to believe. I mean, y'all know when I started down this, I was like, I just need to understand more. And as I started researching and going to the place myself and doing my research, I'm like, aha, okay, there is more to this story.
And,
So this is why supposedly she wanted to hire this hitman. She says because of Grant and Gracie, but then it's also, she talks about a trust fund that Gracie will get. But then I want to show y'all. So this guy is a local podcaster, Justin the Nick of Time, but he had raised money for the GoFundMe.
Of crime. Thanks for taking the time to be with us once again. I know you've covered the story of the Solomons for several years. Today we have this court hearing at the time of this recording today. And what stood out to me was this audio recording of the undercover who's posing as a hitman, speaking with Angie Solomon. And it just seems like it's a textbook example of what undercovers do to get payment, to prove that it's more than just words and it's something that someone would actually want to do. And I just wonder I know she's pleaded not guilty, but like, where does this case go from here for her defense?
Well, I mean, I think that nobody, expected her to plead guilty to this. But this is one of those things where, yeah, you're exactly right. They did the traditional cop thing. They made sure to confirm information. I don't have the transcript in front of me, but something along the lines of, you do realize that this means that he will be gone. He's not coming back. And she's like, yes, I understand that. No, I don't have the money to pay you right now, but I'll give you double when it's done. And by the way, here's the title to my car. And it's a pretty tough. I mean, they have it right there on tape with the cop doing it. It's going to be a pretty tough defense for her.
Yeah, and I know she's facing what could be years behind bars. We'll see if there's a plea eventually when it gets to that point. Surprising part too was that apparently Aaron Solomon, her ex-husband, was not the only person that police believed that she was interested in hiring a hitman to take someone's life. What do we know about the two people that police say she also was looking at hiring a hitman for?
Well, we don't know a lot because they didn't name them at this point in time. But what I understand from one of my sources who will be more than happy to talk when they're at a point that they're able to do so, I had made a couple of guesses on who it might have been.
Okay, yeah. So allegedly in this TBI undercover investigation, not only did she want Aaron, her ex-husband, to be killed, but also an attorney and a judge. Don't know who, but she says that. And she was in litigation over back child support right around this time as well.
And then apparently my guesses were incorrect. And then basically what I kind of said to him was like, can you give me any idea? And he said, all I can say is it's some very high-powered people in the state of Tennessee. And it sounds like it was alluded to politicians.
Oh, wow. Because then you wonder, I know she's facing the one count of solicitation, murder for hire, but when you get into the world of I don't know if it was hiring a hitman to take out a politician, you just wonder if there's going to be more charges down the line in this case, if that information comes out and it's true.
Well, I mean, we have that, already in the recordings, right? That she was going to, look at two other people. So I guess since we don't know the names at this point in time.
I don't think they're going to be part of the trial, though. I mean, just from the pre-trial hearings, like they don't seem to. I mean, the judge brought that up when she was at this bond hearing, but I haven't heard the attorney and judge portion of the solicitation brought up again. Doad, you liked the Kim Jensen and Jane video? Yeah, it just kind of hit me. I was like, they're all kind of just being played. So I feel like all these women that go out to hire a hitman, allegedly, they have another woman in their ear. So who would that be? Does Angelia have one? I don't know.
It's going to depend on who they are. But if they are pretty high powered, then yeah, I think that we're going to see additional charges. What I kind of question, though, is if this is supposed to be about justice for Grant and Gracie, number one is why aren't we just, and I'm not condoning this at all, just for the record, just having a discussion here, but why not just target Aaron then? And then why these other two people? And if you were going to try to do something like this, which is a big deal, I mean, trying to hire somebody to take the life of another person, that's a big deal, murder for hire. And to do three people kind of all in one go, like that's not going to raise any eyebrows. It's a recipe to get caught.
Right. And
yeah, I mean, did you think you're going to take out three people for 10 grand? What was it, a $5,000 down payment? And then she was going to pay him double or something? Rebecca, the abuse charges were from, we don't know who, they just say minors in the Shanna Gardner trial. They're against Mario. But many of us have speculated that it is one of the twins and somebody else. I don't know. I know it's been investigated, but it comes up literally the day right before his conviction, or they didn't make it public until then. So he got convicted, and then I think that day or the next day they arrest him, quote unquote.
Also, I think an interesting part of this too was apparently the down payment, if this hitman was not an undercover cop and he was let's just say it was a real hitman, it was going to be $5,000. And she said she didn't have that money to pay a down payment up front. But then if this hitman was to kill Aaron Solomon, that she would pay twice as much after. What did you make of that part of it?
Well, if she doesn't have the money, my first thought was if she doesn't have the money to pay him up front for even $5,000, how is she going to pay him $10,000?
And why would you go to meet a hitman and not even have anything with you? I mean, wouldn't you think you'd have to have something? I'm just wondering.
Sounds like that was for just one person and she wanted 3 total. So then are we talking about 30,000 or, another 40,000 if you count what the down payment is?
Sandy, you said the undercover guy looks a lot like the undercover in the Adelson one. I never saw him because he was always blurred out. I think he's in Donna's arrest video, though.
I'm not sure. So the only way, if she doesn't have the money for that and she doesn't have the money for attorney other than a public defender at this point, then where is she getting this? And from what I remember being told early on in this was that if Aaron goes, there is a trust fund set up for their daughter, Gracie Solomon. And I would imagine that money would probably, again, speculation here, but money would.
Okay, I just want to mention this because it was in the transcript that we read last time, which we didn't get through it from when Aaron testified. This was in the divorce. And he talks about the trust fund. And I think between land and cash, it was $1 million, let's say, roughly. That was in 2013. Y'all, it's 2026. 13 years ago, it was $1 million. And how many attorneys or how long's he had to retain an attorney? Probably the whole freaking time. I mean, how much of this trust fund is left? I think people hear trust fund and they immediately think, oh, that's big. I had a friend with a trust fund and she has $100,000 in it. It's trust fund doesn't mean, you got the Biltmore estate.
Would probably come from that to be able to cover the expenses, either that or a possible, GoFundMe kind of a thing.
I know you've spoke with both Angie and Gracie Solomon on your podcast. I think it was a couple years ago, right? At this point, and we've laid it out. I mean, they've made it's not just words when you're accusing someone of being involved in the murder of someone like they have with the death of Grant Solomon, and then also the accusations of sexual abuse against Aaron Solomon. And he's never been charged. He, through lawyers, denied those charges. But I just, when you spoke to them and in communication with them, did you ever think that she would, everything's alleged at this point, but think that she would get to the point where she would actually try to hire a hitman to kill Aaron Solomon?
I did not, because I don't think that reasonable people think about that. And I mean, I know she wanted justice, but I feel like, when she was looking at everything and we were working with her and talking with her, she was trying to go about this entire situation on the up and up. Now, she did claim that there was a lot of corruption in the state of Tennessee, that Aaron had a lot of connections, which is why a lot of this was buried, why Grant's death was not properly investigated, and all these other things. But then one thing had come out where basically there was an accusation that Aaron had sexually abused Gracie during a baseball tournament that Grant was in North Carolina, which allowed.
Yes, and there were all these investigations and they were all closed, and a judge in the county said, no more, do not bring anything else here for 5 years. JJ, who set up the trust fund, I think it was his aunt that left it to him. It was a trust. Oh, wait, are we talking about Shayna's trust fund? Sorry, so many hitmen and trust funds, I can't keep up.
The FBI to get involved, which would take it out of Tennessee's jurisdiction. And last I had talked to her with all that stuff going on, I thought that was the route that they were going to take, the route that they were going to go.
Yeah, and as far as Aaron Solomon's concerned, he was at, to my understanding, he was at the court appearance today. He has been at, it seems every time Angie Solomon's been in court since this story broke, he's been there, but he doesn't make statements to the media.
Just FYI, this is the footage they're showing right now. This was April 30th, 2025. Okay, just letting y'all know that.
How would you characterize how Aaron Solomon, for people who are just picking up on this story, it seems like he's there, but you don't hear a lot from him. What's the typical reaction in?
I always wondered that too, but he's been going through this for 13 years. He's probably like, anytime I say anything, it's going to get twisted, some other allegation, and maybe best just not to say something.
In Nashville, to how he's, I don't know if how he's played this is the way to put it, but it's kind of just to see how he's reacted to all of this is he just seems like he's a constant presence in the courtroom, but not one who's being outspoken about this.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, Aaron was I think a former Channel 4 or former Channel 5 news anchor. I can't remember which off the top of my head.
I think it was 4,
My
yeah.
apologies. It was 4, okay. And so he was a public figure. He was a radio host, and he hasn't really done anything in quite some time. But in the Nashville area, which
I know, I get it, Mrs. Georgia Mom. I don't blame him for staying silent. I mean, in this day and age where people clip things, like we've all seen the new trailer for the Hulu Dan Markel documentary coming out September 1st, and they've edited that to, I think it sounds like Wendy is saying, and my brother hired a hitman for a divorce present, but we know like that's edited. So you just never know what people can do these days.
is where I'm at. We really don't
Yeah.
hear a whole lot about him. In passing, people will say, okay, well, you talk about true crime, you talk about news. Do you know this story? And I'm like, yeah, I know this story, and we'll chat a little bit about it. What I find very odd, though, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, is yes, he's made these statements, denied these accusations through his attorneys, but he's never said anything publicly, as you said. And if I had somebody making the accusations against me that are being levied against him, which are murder, sexual assault of my child from a very, very young age, I think that it's from the age of 2, and I didn't do it, then I would be out talking to everybody, especially if that person saying all of this was going on Nancy Grace, going on Ashley Banfield, talking to every major influencer, podcaster out there, getting the story.
Yeah, but now look, she won't talk to any of them because she can't give receipts on where the money is. So maybe it's been to his advantage.
And for him to not tell his side at all, I don't know whether this is a thing that was advised to him by his lawyers or he's just not comfortable or what the deal is. But it's very odd to me because most of the time when you talk about things like this and there are two parties and it's a situation where one is saying something about the other and they're denying it, the other party's out there very outspoken about it. And Aaron really has never said anything.
Yeah, and I don't know him obviously personally, and then he hasn't been on television since 2011 in Nashville. But part of what Angie said to this undercover was that that Aaron had, I guess, guns and drugs at his house, and that someone could go and get that. And to me, that just doesn't, from what I understand of a local news anchor, would be someone who had guns and drugs at their house. That just seemed like a bizarre part of this conversation.
I know if y'all like just seeing him in court, like not somebody I'm like, I bet they got a lot of guns and drugs. Just, I know you can't ever assume, but just saying, Sir Tedrick, how about all of Angie's crazy non-answers when she was questioned in court by the attorney? Yeah, and the judge. I loved it when the judge, what did he looked at her and was like, ma'am, quite honestly, I don't believe a word you're saying. Something like that. Leslie had her answers on previous video. Looney Tune word salad. Yeah, sad. But at the same time, like she's still making these decisions. No one's locked her up.
With the undercover.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Tennessee, so having firearms, that's not really out of the question.
Yeah.
As far as drugs go, I don't know. That was the first time I had ever heard of. She had never, in any of the time that we had talked, ever accused Aaron of doing drugs. Not that I heard, at least. So that's kind of
That's right. The allegations just kind of like grew bigger and bigger and bigger, right? John Smith, I think her mom put that crap in her head just like Lori did with Joe. Yeah. Oh, yeah, when Angie pled the fifth in the deposition. Wild.
new thing. So I don't really know what to make of that, or maybe she was just hoping that it would entice this person to go.
Raven in the South. Yeah. Kim Zolciak's son on SA charges. I saw that. But you want to talk about growing up in a toxic household. Bierman, Zolciak. Oof.
When there's like, hey, these firearms and these drugs have a monetary value and you can have these when it's done, it's something to kind of like sweeten the deal for him is what I'm guessing, speculation that she was trying to allude to.
Sorry, Millie. You're confused. Okay, Shanna Gardner, yes, she is locked up. So in Florida, if you're charged, so it's a first-degree murder charge. I mean, it's conspiracy, but it's the same thing in Florida. You don't get bond. So she's been in jail for like over 3 years. And then Angie is out on bond. She got out in May of 2025. So she's been out. She's on a house arrest, if you will, with a ankle monitor.
You've covered this case longer than I have, but as I've been going through it and we've gone through all the court documents, the back and forth that Aaron and Angie have had in the legal system, and you have this 18-minute video by Gracie Solomon accusing Aaron Solomon. She calls him a monster, and we played part of it, but I mean, she is accusing him of some monstrous things, but Gracie's name is not in the court record. She's not a defendant in any lawsuit or anything like that. Do we know why Aaron has not, or I guess, do we know how he's responded to that video? I know he hasn't publicly said it, but it doesn't seem like in court he's pushing back on that particular video, not the allegations, but the video being out there.
So that's a really great question. So Gracie recorded that video, I think, when she was about 12 years old. And the story that Angie had told me about.
Can y'all imagine having your daughter go on YouTube to do something like that? That's the last thing I would want. That's just me. Scare. I don't think it's odd. Let her talk. The issues have been resolved in courts. If the so-called reporters did their jobs properly, they should bring that up. Yeah. JJ, what does Aaron do now? I think something in finance. Yeah.
About that video was basically that Grant had died and Gracie and Angie were so in fear of their lives. And Gracie in particular came to Angie and said to her, I'm so scared if something happens to me, I want to make sure that.
Yeah, that's what Angie used to look like. I mean, very pretty, right?
People know my truth and I want this video out there. And that is the story that Angie told to me. Now, as far as why she might not be named in a court document, Gracie just turned 18. I want to say,
hey, riding,
like 6-ish months ago, give or take.
Okay, well, we've gone over that, I know, but the other thing I wanted to bring up, just because we were showing the text messages and Shanna Gardner's, which I think will sink her. I mean, there's so much more to it, y'all. The burner phone texts and all that, but it does show. Y'all are gonna hate me for saying this, but Wendy is a lot smarter. Raven in the South. Am I doing it full time? For now, I wouldn't. I mean, at the moment. But I went back and watched some of this with Corbett, and I just forgot how good this was. Sir Tedrick, this is going to be like your jam right here. But this is the day of the murder and the texting and the phone activity, and I'm going to play it.
You were able to show us the communication on the call detail records between all the co-conspirators on the 16th and 17th during this trip to Tallahassee.
Yes. So again, should we slide 179? We are looking at another summary of the communications between the subjects, and this spans July 16th in the morning through the early morning hours of July 18th.
And do we have the same pattern here where Magbanua is the only one contacting Garcia and Rivera, and Charlie is the only Adelson talking to Magbanua?
That's correct. If we go back to kind of the tally of communications, again, we can see the highest number of communications between Charlie Adelson and Catherine Magbanua, between Magbanua and Garcia, and then as the others, as the others have communications as well.
Okay. And these communications, they also cover attempted communications. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And some of these communications may be text, some may be calls, some may be mundane. Some of these people have relationships anyway. We're just showing all the communications or attempted communications that did take place.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So I want to focus on the night before Dan Markel's murder, late that night. Using a timeline, can you walk us through the communication that evening on July 17th, going into the early morning hours of July 18th?
Yes. So again, kind of same format here. We see, this is slide 185, we see calls between Charlie Adelson and Donna Adelson at 10:18 and 10:29, both of them for just over 4 minutes.
Okay, and what's next?
We see at about 11:40, there is communication between Mr. Garcia and Ms. Magbanua.
Okay, and what happens after that?
Additional communications between Catherine and Sigfredo, and then Charlie calls Catherine just after midnight.
I mean, y'all know Charlie didn't sleep this night, and then he did a big surgery the next day on somebody. Nothing like an oral surgeon with no sleep. Cat Ride, I saw her in Prof. Joe's chat, Patty. Yeah, I hope she's doing better. I know, I feel bad.
Okay, and is there any more after that?
There is, we see that Ms. Magbanowa calls Charlie again at 12:34 a.m. for a short duration call. And then Charlie calls her back at 1:03 a.m.
Okay. And the Charlie calls Donna at 1:02 a.m. Was there no duration on that?
No duration on that.
Okay. All right. So then moving on to later that morning, which is going to be the morning of July 18th when Dan Markel was murdered. What can you tell us about all the co-conspirators' communication that morning between 8 a.m. and 12:30 p.m.?
So again, another call detail summary between those subjects. Here, slide 192, we're referencing the time when the shooting of Mr. Markel occurred. And in combination with the iCloud return with text message content, in the forensic examination of Wendy Adelson's phone, the communication records from the carriers, we kind of have a more complete idea of the communications between these persons the morning of the 8th.
Raven, who was running the video? Are you talking about the interview she did tonight, or the person on the back end? Amber is kind of who controls the stuff, like in her StreamYard.
18th.
Okay, and the yellow line there shows at what time in the call detail records the homicide occurred.
Look at Donna. She's like, I am screwed. Hey, Forensic. Hey, Dreamscake. I feel sorry for the murdered wrong men whose murdering wives keep their name. Yeah, I do too. And all the lives ruined because of these people.
Yes.
Can you walk us through all the cell phone evidence that morning?
So again, just looking at the communications between our primary subjects. Wendy had the calendar event that for 8 a.m. for Fixed TV.
And I want to ask you about that. Did she often have calendar events in her phone?
She did, yes.
And she would often delete those events?
Correct.
All right.
So I want to know if on Wendy's phone, if her calendar, so everything prior to this moment has nothing on it. That would drive me crazy. But that's basically what they're saying.
When was this calendar event deleted?
I do not know.
Okay. Was it when she was with law enforcement the afternoon of July 18th? Did they take her phone and run a Cellbrite report on it?
Yes. So this extraction occurred on the late evening hours of July 18th.
Okay. And in the Cellbrite, it would have shown that the calendar event was deleted. Is that right?
Correct.
So would she have had to have deleted it before her cell phone was Cellbrighted that evening?
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes.
Doesn't that seem weird that Wendy had the TV appointment? So she had it in her calendar, what they say, at 8 a.m. And she deleted it before she got to the police station. But we know she was running around. She was doing laundry. She was editing papers. It was crazy, just crazy morning. She didn't have time to shower. She went and got gas and bourbon and all these things that she could have done after lunch. But she already had that deleted.
Time between 8 a.m. when the event is on her phone and that evening it was deleted.
It could have been deleted before that date.
Okay. All right. So first call to Donna Adelson and Wendy Adelson. Can you show that to us?
Yes. So again, we see at 8:09 a.m. there's a call from Wendy to Donna.
Okay. Let me ask you one thing from the night before. Was it unusual for Charlie Adelson and Donna Adelson to communicate or attempt to communicate at 1 a.m. that late?
They're communicate over a pretty broad range of time. I think it was pretty clear that event was a misdial that he immediately corrected and called Ms. Magbanowa. That's why there was no duration.
Oh, yeah. I meant to call my girlfriend, but I called my mom. And Wendy's calling her mom at 8 something that morning Come on.
To it.
Okay, thank you. All
I
right,
agree.
so moving on to that morning, we saw the calendar event, and then does Donna place the first call that morning between the co-conspirators to Wendy?
Wendy calls Donna. Let's back up. So, yes, Wendy actually calls Donna at 8:09.
Okay. And what's next?
Donna attempts back at about the same time frame. Little phone tag maybe. And then we see a text message from Donna to Wendy again about the Best Buy service.
I mean, what a funny text. Best Buy just called me, but I told them to confirm with you. They're on their way over now to help you with the TV sets in your living room. Like how many TVs does she have broken in her house? Millie, what's wrong with Patty? One of her subscribers, and I think it's fine to say this because it was on her live last night, who Bling is the new black, but she passed away. She'd been sick. And also Patty found out her husband has Alzheimer's. So it was just it was a rough day.
And she says, they're on their way over now to help with the TV sets in your living room.
Correct.
All right, what's next?
Wendy has a text to Charlie stating this is so sweet.
And that was deleted?
Correct.
I mean, that alone is just bizarre and sick. This is thank you so much for having my ex-husband killed. This is so sweet. And then she deletes it. Yeah, Sir Tedrick, 8 a.m., fix murder, parentheses, TV. Mm-hmm.
And would that have had to have been deleted then before
Hey, Anna.
the Cellbrite that afternoon, sometime between when it was received at 8:20 and the Cellbrite that afternoon?
Correct.
All right, what's next?
Wendy receives a voicemail from Dan Markel.
Okay, and do you have that voicemail where you could play it for us?
I believe so.
Hey, Wendy, good morning. 9 o'clock on Friday. Just wanted to take out something to pick the boys up early this afternoon and give them the that happened for you around 4:30 or 5. It's either at your jail or at the house. So let me know if that is okay with you. And also love to chat to you about that situation for school. And so things about all that. I'm going to be at the gym probably between 9:15 and 10:30. But happy to chat. You know, go off in school, like that. Okay, bye.
What time was that voicemail left for Wendy Adelson?
9:04 a.m.
Mia asks, Leslie, why do you think it was agreed upon that at trial, Wendy would not be asked her whereabouts before she left the house that morning? Do we know that it was agreed? I mean, I thought they just have the timestamps of her submitting stuff to the law school. So, quote unquote, alibi or whatever. But I didn't know that it was necessarily agreed upon. Unless, are you trying to say like it's something that's being saved for later?
Okay, what happens after that?
Hey, cynical. Because they don't want to give her an opportunity to test her lies with a jury. Yeah. Now you get the rat. Yeah. My heart hurts when I see Phil Markel listening to that voicemail. I don't know about y'all, but you can see him clenching his jaw. It just, oof.
So Charlie calls Wendy or attempts to call Wendy at 9:12.
And that's 29 seconds?
Correct.
Okay, what's next?
Wendy texts Dan Markel stating the repairman at my house now. I am picking up the boys at 3 p.m. So your swim idea is a no-go today.
So do we know exactly what?
I think it's weird to say repairman too. I don't know. I just think that's odd. Repairman at my house. Yeah, she was doing everything she could, y'all, to avoid having to talk to Dan, right? She avoided him at Whole Foods earlier in the week. She went and talked to him on the phone. That's right, Beach Bum. Bling is a New Black was also a mod for Patty. Yes, for those of us that go back to Patty when she was started covering all this, which what, God, almost like 3 years ago, the OG crew and Bling also made shirts, and she did all these like bejeweled things, and she made, I think, concert gear for like Aerosmith and some really big bands. She had a really cool life, had a farm, Texas, animals, really neat person. Raven in the South, you don't understand why Katie is still holding out. I know a lot of people think Katie has a lot of stuff. I don't know that Katie's got a lot up in her brain.
What time she listened to that? Was it 9:04?
9:04 was the voicemail.
Do we know exactly what time she listened to that 9:04 voicemail?
We do not.
But it seems she would have listened to it before this text at 9:12.
Sir Tedrick Walker, this is interesting. Okay, Wendy said 8 a.m. fix TV, code word for murder, and 8:09, Wendy calls Donna to fix murder TV. That's snarky, in my opinion. Yeah, that's a good point. I love these people coming up with code language, and they think none of us are going to figure it out. Like the casserole and the potatoes with Shanna, and then the TV with this. I mean, are they serious?
She does seem to acknowledge the content of the voicemail in this text message reply.
So she heard it sometime between 9:04 and 9:12.
Correct.
Okay. Now, in that message, he mentions he's going to the gym, right? At
He did.
9:15. But from the surveillance videos that we have, by the time he got to the gym at 9:15, were the killers already tailing him?
Appear to be so, yes.
Okay. And are you familiar with Luis Rivera's statement that they had been tailing him all morning? They followed him.
Okay, after we finish this with the day of the murder, I'll pull that more of that information on the Mario charges in the First Coast News report. Cynical, I agree. This is so sweet. It's sick. Is she really calling the pending murder sweet? Yeah, it's disgusting.
From his house to the preschool that morning.
Correct.
All right, so can you walk us through these messages starting at 9:12 a.m. that Wendy Adelson has with Dan Markel?
Yes. So again, she indicated that the swim idea was a no-go. Mr. Markel responds about his day ending at 4:30.
Meaning that he gets to keep the boys under the schedule until 4:30.
Correct.
Okay.
As again, in this message, he says, under our schedule. And he continues, and you had them until 5 last week. This is at 9:13 a.m.
Okay.
Wendy Adelson responds, because you needed to food shop. This is at 9:15. Mr. Markel replies, you weren't making them available until 5.
And at this point, he's already in the Premier parking lot around that time.
Would be correct, yes.
Okay.
Wendy responds, if it was 4:30 last Friday, you should have told me that. Why tell me now? This is at 9:19. And also at 9:19, Wendy receives a call from Charlie, last a little over 18 minutes.
Okay. So.
No, it says Wendy calls Charlie. He just said Wendy receives. It says Wendy calls. Skier, that's a great point. That was code for her to confirm if she wanted her TV fixed or not, or the deal done. Maybe that's the agreement we've been waiting for, where she is the one to have the final say.
At the point where Dan Markel's already at the gym at 9:19, right?
Yes.
And the killers have already followed him to the gym at that point, right?
Correct.
This is per surveillance footage from Premier.
Correct.
At this point, Wendy and Charlie have an 18 and 17 second phone conversation.
An 18-minute and 17-second, yes.
Okay. What happens next after this phone conversation?
So after the phone call started, Wendy would have received the incoming text because I was being nice. And then about the time that phone call would have ended, Wendy texts Dan back.
And does she say, nice was fun while it lasted. See you at 4:30 today at my house then?
Correct.
So after this 18-minute phone call with Charlie Adelson, does she seemingly change her stance in the argument? she kind of concedes the argument and agrees with what Dan Markel is asking. He can keep the boys until 4:30.
Correct.
And then
Mia, that's interesting. You think you might have heard a stipulation, but you'll check. The only stipulation I've ever heard was in, I think, the second trial in Katie's, when they stipulate that the kids were at creative preschool at 8:30 on Thursday. They stipulate the drop off and pickup times. That's the only stipulation I've heard, but that doesn't mean that's right. I did not see Corey Richens' restitution hearing today, but I heard it's over $1 million, but you can't get blood out of a rock. It's a good point. Cynical says, Outlook can delay sending emails, like with Wendy. We also have to remember Wendy cold turkey stopped her psych meds, so she was really irrational, reactive, and impulsive. Great point.
within about an hour of this message was Dan Markel killed.
He was shot, yes.
Shot, thank you. Walk us through what happens next.
So there are additional communications. Charlie attempts to call Donna at 9:38. Charlie attempts to call Catherine at 9:57. Return attempt just after. And then Charlie and Catherine talk for almost 7 minutes at 9:58.
Okay.
Charlie calls Wendy 10:06, short duration. Catherine attempts Charlie again, 10:07, 10:08. The return call at 10:09 for about.
I mean, does this exhaust y'all, all this phone activity? Yeah, Sir Tedrick can't ask her because of immunity and wouldn't be allowed to in Wendy's trial. Yep. Judel, your dad passed in February from Alzheimer's. I'm so sorry. It is horrible.
6 minutes. And that's the last of the communications prior to the shooting.
Okay, is Charlie also that morning playing phone tag with the attorney representing him in the divorce, Stephen Webster?
I think we've broken new ground tonight. Anna, yeah. What if fix the TV meant the fix is in? Bingo. I like it. I think you're right.
Dan Markel is.
I'm sorry, Dan Markel, thank you. And did Dan Markel have communication where he's playing phone tag with Stephen Webster?
Yes, this is slide 220, and we see from Mr. Markel's records several incoming, outgoing text or voice attempts with Stephen Webster.
And are they basically setting up a time to talk later in the morning?
Your Honor, facts not evidence, and also speculation.
Saying is the facts, not evidence, unless you can lay a foundation for this was doing.
Have you reviewed the text in these call detail records?
Briefly,
Did it appear that they were setting up a time to talk later that day?
yes.
Okay. Is the last outgoing communication from Dan Markel 10:34 a.m.?
Yes.
And Dan Markel would have been killed within a few minutes of sending that outgoing message?
Correct.
All right, I want to shift now to the cell phone locations in this case. You walked us through at the beginning of your presentation yesterday, Dan Markel's locations on the morning of the murder, Trescott, preschool, gym. What can you tell us about Rivera and Garcia's locations that morning?
So again, as you mentioned, slide 222 here, we see the locations that he was. We know his approximate arrival, the arrival of the Prius into Premier Health and Fitness.
I feel so for the Markels every time I see this. Mia Wallace, she said she could speak. She could speak with Dan due to laryngitis. Oh, she couldn't speak, but proceeded to speak to others and go on a walk and have a long talk with Jane. Sir Tedrick, yep. It hurts me to hear Dan's voice, knowing Miss Snarky, who has no conscience, and in my opinion, psycho, arrest her is what I think. I know. Poor Bling. She was young too. She was only like 60 something.
Just after 9 a.m. And what we see now up to slide 224, these are the cell site locations for Mr. Garcia and Mr. Rivera. Again, Mr. Garcia is in orange, Rivera in blue, but these are the first events with location. We have the morning of the 18th, July 18th, And we see that Mr. Rivera and Mr. Garcia's location are both consistent with them being in the area of Premier Health and Fitness.
I think some of the most damning evidence, personally, if they had researched it more, the dang food trucks. That night before, on the 17th, when Wendy says she was with this friend of a friend, a girl named Malia, and we hung out for hours, went to Tallahassee food trucks. That's what she says. And the Prius pinged literally like 0.2 of a mile from there. That is not a coincidence. Something is odd about that. And I don't care what anybody says, but, you know, nobody researched it. But no mom is going to food trucks when she doesn't have the kids. That doesn't even make sense. Yeah, I know, Rave in the South. We need to deep dive the docs that Prof. Joe had today. I agree.
Okay, and what was the last event with location data that we have for them while consistent with Premier Gym?
It's going to be these that you see here. So 9:58 for Mr. Garcia, 9:46 for Mr. Rivera.
When was their next event?
Right? The Adelsons have so much money and they had such the life. I mean, the travel, all the trips they were going on, everything. And they threw it all away just because Wendy wanted to be in Miami. Why didn't Wendy leave the boys in Tallahassee and let her commute up there? You know, how about that? And then now the Gardners, millions and millions and millions. Unbelievable. And now possibly you've had one of your children essayed.
With location after these events.
It was afternoon.
Okay, can you walk us through that?
I can. We see, again, Mr. Markel's vehicle leaving the Premier Health and Fitness, 10:38, the Prius traveling just after. And then we see the location information here. This is slide 227. And again, just looking at the cell site locations, Mr. Garcia's in orange, Rivera's in blue. We see that those events we just saw at Premier Health and Fitness.
I will tell y'all, if you've watched a lot of trials like we all have, you realize how spectacular Corbett is, because cell phone data can make jurors and everybody glaze over, but the way he presents it is pretty phenomenal. He's going to be really missed. It's sad that he's retired, and I agree, cynical. Wendy's nice was fun while it lasted, will not do her any favors in her own trial. This looks so bad while it lasted. Yep. Big problem, the TV. And the other damning evidence is when she was in Miami and they show like when she was scheduling or putting in her calendar to cancel her cable and all that. I just don't know how they don't have enough to charge her. I don't get it.
Fitness are at the top. And the next event we have, you see, is the 12:30 event for Mr. Garcia, where they appear to be on 75 traveling southbound.
So from Tallahassee to around the Gainesville area, there were no events with location.
Correct.
Could that be consistent with them turning their phones off after they left Premier Gym?
It could, yes.
Sometimes when people commit crimes, do they try to turn their phones off during that time?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation.
Sustained unless you can lay a foundation for this particular point, Mr.
I'll move on, Judge. All right, so let's start at 12:30. Who was the call to 12:32?
So this is a summary of Mr. Garcia's records for the morning of the 18th. And what we see is his first outgoing call, which happens to be that same event we have with location at 12:30, was to Miss Magbanua.
Now, if there's anybody that y'all want to sing, it's Sigfredo. Now, I don't know if he remembers any of this stuff now because he sounds like he's totally off the chains. But he would have the goods. He could probably answer a whole lot of questions.
Even though the call appears to be a short duration, is there any evidence that it went to voicemail or Magbanua did not answer the call?
There's no evidence it was not received.
What do the phone records indicate about the status of Garcia's phone from the last event at Premier to the time he called Catherine McVanois at 12:30?
Well, we do see at 12:18 and 12:19, we see 2 incoming calls that do not create locations, which means they did not actually reach the handset. The handset was not in communication with the network. So we know, at least for those times, that the handset was not, again, in communication with the network. Power down, battery dead. However, and then we also see these short codes, this 122 and 129, that are coming into the phone at 12:29. And these are consistent with notifications to the handset about missed calls or voicemails or other things. So those events would be consistent with that phone being powered back on or returning to the network at about that 12:29 timeframe.
Okay. And once it comes back on at 12:29, the first call is to McVanois?
Correct.
Switching gears here, I want to talk about Wendy Adelson's locations during that morning and early afternoon timeframe when Dan Markel was murdered. Are you familiar with Wendy Adelson's statement about her locations on the day of Dan Markel's murder and the route that she took on July 18th after her TV repair appointment?
Yes.
Okay, can you walk us through that?
So again, we see her residence here at the time, the Aqua Ridge Way. This is slide 230. Again, just the flag there indicates the area of her residence.
So Aqua Ridge kind of off Centerville Road, north of I-10?
Yes.
All right. Based on the location info from her call.
By the way, y'all, after Jared was murdered, Shanna Gardner went and lived in Tallahassee a bit and also in Savannah. Did y'all know that? Before they moved out west?
Detail records, can you determine the approximate time she encountered the roadblock on Trescott Drive?
I can, yes. So we also have a receipt from ABC Fine Wine and Spirits that is time-stamped at 12:49 p.m. on the 18th. So looking at communication records with location, we see that she begins a voice call at 12:31 p.m. Her cell site is listed as the purple dot and starts at 12:31. We can see, this is slide 232. As we come down to about the middle here, she has an event at 12, or communication during this phone call with a cell site at 12:35. And then that call ends at 12:47.
It's a long way to drive for some liquor. What if George is holding that back? I don't know that people really understand the food truck. I mean, I don't know. Mia, yeah, was Harvey the prescriber? Yes, according to Jeff, he says that her dad, the dentist, was prescribing a really high dose of Lexapro. Oh, Corbett's with the state attorney's office. Good. I just love him. He's so good.
So we see again that will be consistent with her leaving the area of her residence sometime around the 12:31 timeframe, and being in the area of, and this 12:47 cell site could be the ABC Liquors as well. We know the receipt time's just a couple of minutes later. So with that,
if you're running late, why do you go and do that? Why don't you just go, you know what? I'm going to go after lunch. I'm not getting the boys until 4:30. Okay, we know this from the text. Because she knew. Why would you go and be late and run around looking like you've been doing yard work, wearing nasty clothes? Sir Tedrick, I agree. Malia is Sigfredo on Monroe Street as opposed to Mosaic, right? She says in the police interview. Yeah, it's Monroe. He's like, Monroe? Oh, yeah, I got mixed up. Hey, did y'all see that I went to a restaurant named Mosaic earlier this week?
and to slide 233, with that receipt being at 12:49, the voice call ending at 12:47, she would have passed by Premier or Mr. Markel's residence just prior to that.
Okay.
Can't y'all just see Corbett just like, And I'll just put a little yellow flag here and a white flag. I just see him like making this. I hope he sees this because we all think he's great. And I get really mad when people are like, oh, the ABC liquor purchase, that was the signal to Donna because she got the transaction alert. No, what? That was 12:49 p.m. They already had the Sigfredo Katie conversation at 12:30. They already knew it was done. It was not the receipt. I just want to make that for the record.
Meaning maybe somewhere around 12:35 to 12:45.
Correct.
Did Dan Markel have he and Wendy Adelson's children the morning of July 18th?
I'm sorry?
Did Dan Markel have the children the morning of July 18th and he took them to school that morning?
He did, yes.
Okay. Looking at,
I love it when corporate's like, I'm sorry, what? Like, you want to rephrase that, Sarah Catherine, the way we rehearsed? Anna B, why is Sig not talking? Is it Aladdin King thing? It's just like a gang code of silence. They don't snitch for nothing. But I don't understand that because supposedly he told Katie to talk. And his appellate attorney was like, you know details.
Wendy Adelson's call detail records, were you able to see her calls, who they were from and to, and the times on July 18th of 2014?
Yes. So slide 234, a summary of her calls that morning. And we can see in the highlighted sections here, calls that would have been made or received after the time that she would have passed by the Markel residence.
When she encountered that roadblock, the crime scene tape with the police cars behind it in front of the Markel residence, did she attempt to call Dan Markel to make sure he or the kids were okay?
She did not.
That right there, if I'm on a jury and you tell me that a mom drove by and saw police tape and all the stuff where my kids were, be freaking out. And I wasn't concerned. Yeah, I wasn't concerned. Yeah, Siggy ain't speaking. Snitches get stitches. He's a lifer. That's right. Be very, very dangerous. He would have a price on his head. Of course, he's been busted for making shanks and all kinds of stuff, getting in fights. He's been moved to several prisons too. I should do a video on all the prisons he's been in. Mia, Jane, the Noelle Hawthorne of this case. This TV is about 5. Wendy would have been arrested and prosecuted in Duval County. I mean, you wonder.
Did she attempt to call the children's daycare, creative preschool, to make sure that they made it to school and there wasn't some type of incident?
She did not.
Did she attempt to call 911?
Wait, Judel, what? Did I just rehear that Wendy was working with a realtor in Miami who was trying to rent her a 1-bedroom apartment week before murder? And her comeback was yes, but I said that was big enough. I'm really confused.
Or law enforcement to see what was going on since her children had been staying on that street?
She did not.
Did she just continue to the liquor store and then on to lunch?
Correct.
Are you familiar with the area of Thomasville Road and I-10 where the restaurant Mosaic used to be, which was the restaurant she went to lunch at that day?
I am.
Beach Bum, I'm embarrassed to tell you I don't remember what I was supposed to email George. See, that's why I got to write this stuff down.
Were there any liquor stores in that area back in July 2014?
There were, yes.
Okay, can you walk it? Thank you.
So what we see, slide 237, again, we are showing the residence, her residence at the time on Aqua Ridge, and her ultimate destination, which was Mosaic off of Thomasville Road.
Yes, when I was making that video I had today with Wendy and Jane, and she's like, I mean, I have my receipts and I have all the emails I sent the law school. And when she pulls out the receipts, she's so quick to like offer proof. That is not normal. That is not something an innocent person does. Now, you might do that 3 months into an investigation, but not hours.
So clearly the next slide here shows, as calculated by the mapping software, the most direct route between those two locations as far as where she was heading.
And then were there any liquor stores in the area of Mosaic at that time?
There were. So at that time, there was Publix Liquors, on Thomasville Road there, very close to Mosaic. There was Market Square Liquors off Thomasville, and also another ABC location a little further north on Thomasville Road.
Would those Publix and Market Square Liquors be a lot closer to Aqua Ridge and Mosaic than the one she ultimately went to?
They would, and this is slide 242, which shows the route she ended up taking versus what is calculated as the most efficient route. We can see there's a difference of about.
I mean, how is that not evidence right there? Look at all that, y'all. Look at all the stores. Summary of shortest route, 11.07 miles. Summary of actual route, 20.42 miles. Almost an extra, 9 miles? Or over 9 miles? And she's running late. John says, you think she was aware she had been seen by the officer and went to ABC store for the receipt more than anything else. I recall too, she said it was the first one that popped up. So, like if I'm in Google on my phone and I type in liquor, then it'll put the store that's nearest you. Well, that wouldn't have been the nearest store. So again, a lie. And when they did the cell right of her phone, it should tell what her search was. House long to die and cold.
9 minutes longer to go the other way.
So she went 9 minutes out of the way to go to the ABC Liquors next to Dan Markel's home.
Correct.
All right, switching gears again. July 18th, the last slide that we saw of Garcia and Rivera's locations was around the Gainesville area when phones were powered back on, and the 12:30 call was made by Garcia to Catherine McVanois. Does the next map show Garcia and Rivera continuing to come back down to the Miami area?
Yes, we do see here slide 244 as another large time frame without location information. But we see in the late afternoon, early evening hours, the use on the phones returns, and we see that they are getting into the South Florida area.
Okay, once back in Miami, did they stop somewhere where they were caught on video?
Yes, so we have an ATM withdrawal from Mr. Rivera. We can see that occurred.
Does this not ever crack anybody up that this hitman driving this green rented Prius goes to the ATM when they're supposed to be getting paid all this money to go and out to eat? I don't know. It just has always seemed odd. So he withdrew $20. I mean, it says $22.10. I guess that was the ATM fee. Chris Corbett provided the most detailed minute-by-minute timeline in crime history. Agree. It's not going to get any better than this, Georgia or Jack or whoever.
At 6:46 p.m. and through the records, we were able to determine the location of that specific ATM where that transaction occurred in Pembroke Pine.
Okay.
So slide 247 shows the location of the ATM by the.
Anna, yeah, Luis is talking, correct. But that's why he stayed in the federal prison. He's still in the feds. So it's different in federal system, I guess. I mean, it's still, I'm sure, dangerous. Don't get me wrong. But it'd be very different in the state. But I'll be amazed when he gets out if he's lives a long time. I think they're going to have his number, in my opinion. Hey, Wendy
Yellow
Jones.
flag in the middle. The, again, blue and orange circles represent the cell sites their handsets were using at the time. And we can see that their locations are consistent with the area of that ATM around the time of that transaction.
All right. Moving on to July 18th.
Wendy's in Ireland.
Okay. Thank you.
So from that ATM, there were also surveillance images obtained of Mr. Rivera driving, Mr. Garcia in the passenger seat, and again of the green Prius.
And then after that was Garcia in communication with Catherine McVanois that evening.
Yes.
Was McVanois also in communication with her friend Yendra Mascaro that evening.
Donna, the face of defeat. Little did she know she would have a tennis ball-sized cyst on her arm in the next year. Cynical senders, what victim is really thinking about pulling out evidence immediately after hearing someone they once loved was just shot? She was ready to spill her alibi. Yep.
Yes, so here again, slide 250 is the summary of the communications that afternoon and evening. And we can highlight here several communications between Ms. Magbanua and Mr. Garcia. And in addition to those, we do see communications between Ms. Magbanua and Ms. Mascaro.
And was there evidence that Magbanua went to Rivera's house to meet up with Garcia on the night of July 18th?
Hey, I've tried to FOIA her phone records. They won't release them because she's not a, suspect. Well, she's not a defendant, maybe. So it's not in. Let me tell y'all, Florida is very loosey-goosey, though, on the FOIA, and Tennessee is not.
There was, as we see again, Ms. Magbanua's cell sites represented here in red. She has events up to 846 that are consistent with the area of her residence. And we can see as we move across the slide here, 253, events at 920 and 923, and ultimately 942, that will be consistent with her traveling away from the area of her residence and toward the area of Mr. Rivera's residence.
And are you familiar with Magbanua's statement that she dropped her kids off at Yendra Mascaro's residence for the night that night, on the night of July 18th?
Yes.
And whose residence is on the way to Rivera's?
Ms. Mascaro's.
And is Magbanua then at Rivera's residence by around 9?
I really think my new business could be Courtroom Couture. And you don't have to be fancy, but you don't need a shiny Oxford and acrylic sweater. It's just, it didn't work. Wouldn't if you were Wendy, wouldn't you be like, Mom, let me help, let me get you some stuff? I like it at the trial, Wendy, because I can't see what my mom's wearing. No, she didn't want to see what her mom was wearing.
42 p.m.
I'm sorry, you have a question.
Your Honor, there's a question from the jury. Yeah.
Oh, how cute is that? There's a question from the jury.
Thank you.
The bailiff will take you to the restroom.
Yep, forensic, that's right. She's not indicted. Okay. And now I'm going to show this Mario news clip.
We have team coverage for you tonight. In a few moments, Riley Phillips has a closer look at how the new charges against Fernandez Saldana are now impacting Gardner's case.
But first, Jasmine Lee is live in front of the Duval County Jail tonight. And Jasmine, you're learning Fernandez Saldana is now facing charges for sexually abusing a child.
Yeah, well, we saw him as he walked into the courtroom and appeared before a judge. The judge then read the details of 2 new warrants. Both warrants charge Fernandez Saldana with lewd and lascivious molestation. Now, court records show the 2 cases involve alleged offenses dated as April 2020 and March 2022. According to the arrest report tied to the 2020 case, the victim told investigators the alleged abuse started when the victim was just 8 years old and that Fernandez Saldana touched the victim inappropriately on multiple occasions over many years. Fernandez Saldana was also ordered to have no contact with the victim, witnesses, co-defendants, or any minors. Now, he is due in court for arraignment on these new charges on September 17th. The date to set his sentencing in the murder case is October 5th. Live in Jacksonville.
Is that like a new low when you're convicted for murder and then, you're going to serve life in prison anyway, and then you get arrested? Isn't that just... Somebody said there was a newer video released that goes into more detail.
Shanna Gardner's trial might be pushed back, but the battle over her attorneys wanting records from Kirsten Bridegan. Jared Bridegan's widow is far from over.
Last week, the trial for Mario Fernandez Saldana was abruptly paused after the judge learned Kirsten Bridegan was not going to turn over her phone to Gardner's defense team, as she was ordered to do. The judge discussed holding Kirsten in contempt of court. Her legal team has since filed a formal petition with Florida's 5th District Court of Appeal this week, asking the appellate court to block this from happening.
Our investigative reporter Riley Phillips is joining us now with more on this petition. And Riley, Kirsten's attorneys are citing Marcy's Law.
Yes, Anthony, Kirsten's Bridegan's attorneys believe she is protected under Marcy's Law and should not have to turn over her phone since she is not a suspect in her late husband's case. Instead, she is a victim. And they claim the judge overseeing this case has victimized her twice now and weaponized her objections.
Then do you agree that it would be indirect contempt of court?
This was the abrupt hearing exactly 1 week ago when Judge London Kite considered holding Jared Bridegan's widow, Kirsten, in contempt of court because she refused to turn over her cell phone. Kirsten's legal team filed an emergency petition with Florida's 5th District Court of Appeal that day, and the appellate court postponed the contempt hearing. Her legal team has since filed a formal petition with the 5th DCA this week. They claim Kirsten's rights were violated under Marcy's Law. Marcy's Law ensures victims of crimes are treated fairly, their privacy is protected, and they're afforded due process. Shanna Gardner's defense team says they want Kirsten.
Y'all, look at her. She looks like the daughter from, what was that? The Munsters, the Addams Family.
Kirsten's phone so they can obtain messages between her and Gardner's children, posts from her social media page, Justice for Jared, and communications with prosecutors and law enforcement. Gardner's attorneys claim these communications could show Kirsten is biased. But in the 70-page petition, Kirsten's attorneys say that's obvious, writing, quote, yet its orders reflect zero consideration that, as the surviving spouse of a murdered man, Mrs. Bridegan might have a reason to dislike the woman accused of murdering him, and zero explanation of what a fishing expedition through her phone could be expected to add. The petition further alleges that Gardner's attorneys might want the phone data for reasons that are not connected to the murder case. Instead, the petition states this information could be relevant to the custody dispute between Gardner's parents and Bridegan's parents for the twin children Gardner and Bridegan share. Kirsten's attorneys claim Judge
Oh, wow. This could help Jared's parents.
London Kite violated her rights under Marcy's Law by allowing Gardner's team to submit their request for her phone in a secret ex parte hearing without her present. They're now asking the appellate court to prohibit Judge Kite from presiding over any hearings involving Kirsten and to block Judge Kite's previous orders requiring Kirsten to turn over her phone. And Gardner's defense team has a few weeks to file their response to Kirsten's petition. They also listed this phone issue as one of the reasons why they asked to move back Gardner's trial in their motion to continue yesterday, saying it could take over a month for the appellate court.
I feel so bad for Kirsten. Can you imagine going through all that? Sir Tedrick, yeah, you're right. It was Pat Sanford that was on the stand. Courtroom couture. Hey, Sue Gaines. Well, just for that, we're going to play. This could be my, this could be the commercial for my business.
Are you heading to court and unsure what to wear? Introducing Charlie Adelson's Macy's Look, featuring this season's must-have courtroom accessory, the statement tie. Bold, confident, slightly, my mom picked it out. At Macy's, we believe every big moment deserves the perfect outfit, whether it's a wedding, a job interview, or a highly publicized murder trial. And for travel days, try our best-selling Miami Airport Nike jacket. Nothing says, just do it. Like our Nike jacket, available in multiple colors. Because if you decide to flee the country for Vietnam so you won't be extradited, you will arrive in Vietnam in fashionable, comfortable colors. Unless the FBI catches you first. And if that's the case, at least you'll look good in your mugshot. The jacket is very flexible, perfect for being handcuffed or even having a perp walk through the Miami airport. And if you're hot, don't worry. It's very breathable, perfect for the back of a deputy's car. Just do it. At Macy's, you might not beat the case, but you'll look good when every YouTuber does a FOIA request. Do you need a courtroom look? Try Macy's. Charlie's trial tie? Macy's. Donna's airport jacket? Macy's. When the charges are serious, but the fit is still fire. Macy's, you can't outrun the law, but you can outdress it.
I like that. When the charges are serious, but the look is still fire. Cynical, getting the book thrown at you. Judges and jury judge a book by its cover. Leslie B. Fashion House can help you stay. Fashion House can help you stay out of the big house. Maybe. Yeah, that'd be great. Oh my word. Yes, tennis girl. That's what I was trying to say earlier. I agree with you. I bet Baez will say Mario got rid of Jared because he was afraid Jared knew about the essay and would tell Shanna and law enforcement. And someone said in a chat, I think it might have been on Prof. Joe's, that Jared and Kirsten had said they do not ever want those kids left alone with Mario. Can you imagine? And supposedly Shanna's parents were okay with him. What? Ugh. Yeah. But I mean, did she not look awful? Hey, Tater, good to see you. There's a lot to catch up on, but you got to be fast because we are bouncing around. This is what Shanna looked like. This is what she looked like in court at her hearing. Didn't it look like her? Oh, cynical. You want to know if Shanna's the co-defendant for these new charges? I would hope not. Oh, her name is Wednesday? Yeah, she looks physically ill. She looks like she's got serious anemia. I mean, obviously she's not getting time. I wonder if she's in confinement. And somebody was saying they wouldn't let her enter the courtroom until her parents had left or something. I missed all that. Lurch. Cousin it. I know. I feel so bad for Kirsten. I wouldn't give over my phone. But allegedly, I think the allegations are that she's been messaging with the twins or a twin through, I think, Instagram or something. I know. There's so much to catch up on. Prof. Joe did a really good live today explaining Mario's new charges. And I joined it a little bit late, and I need to go back because she shows each document, and I'm not going to try and even explain something that she explains because she does it much better. Yes, I agree. I thought Kirsten's statement after the guilty verdict was on point. Did y'all see that press conference of that Florida Attorney General? That lady looks like a Hollywood like she had these cool glasses on. Let me see. But I think Kirsten will end up being like a professional speaker type person. She's just got a really good presence. You know, something for victims' rights or something.
There is accountability. Today's verdict is the result of extraordinary work by extraordinary people. For more than 4 years, detectives, prosecutors, victim advocates, crime analysts, support staff, and countless others have devoted their time, talent, and determination to seeking justice for Jared and his family. This investigation required diligence and patience. It required investigators to follow the evidence wherever it led, to assemble it.
Does this lady not look like something out of a Hollywood movie?
Piece by piece, and to remain steadfast through every challenge they faced. I want to start by recognizing the law enforcement agencies whose work made today's verdict possible. The Jacksonville Beach Police Department, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Each agency brought its expertise and resources to this effort, united by a shared commitment to the truth and to justice for Jared. I am extraordinarily proud of the remarkable prosecutors, Christina Stifler, Alan Mizrahi, and Stephen Sequel, and the entire team behind them whose work made this verdict possible. Their preparation, skill, perseverance, and commitment to the truth were exceptional, and our community should be proud. They carried an enormous responsibility, and they carried it with professional and purpose. Most of all, we remain mindful of Jared. This case has always been about him. It's about the life that was taken, the family left behind, and our obligation to pursue justice on his behalf.
Well done. Let me see.
Juror 23.
He is entitled, Your Honor.
Was ambushed, unarmed, unaware, and utterly vulnerable. And then he was murdered in front of his young daughter just feet away. Nothing about today can restore what was taken from this family or ease the pain they have endured for now many years. But today, there is accountability. Today's verdict is the result of extraordinary work by extraordinary people. For more than 4 years, detectives, prosecutors, victim advocates, crime analysts, support staff, and countless others have devoted their time, talent, and determination to seeking justice for Jared and his family. This investigation required diligence and patience. It required investigators to follow the evidence wherever it led, to assemble it piece by piece, and to remain steadfast through every challenge they faced. I want to start by recognizing the law enforcement agencies whose work made today's verdict possible: the Jacksonville Beach Police Department, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Each agency brought its expertise and resources to this effort, united by a shared commitment to the truth and to justice for Jared. I am extraordinarily proud of the remarkable prosecutors, Christina Stifler, Alan Mizrahi, and Stephen Sequel, and the entire team behind them whose work made this verdict possible. Their preparation, skill, perseverance, and commitment to the truth were exceptional, and our community should be proud. They carried an enormous responsibility, and they carried it with professional and purpose. Most of all, we remain.
I think that prosecutor is that Stifler? I keep thinking of that movie American Pie. I'm sorry. She's young and she's good in the striped jacket. Isn't that Stifler? Hey, writing. Yeah, they waited on purpose to get the trial done so he couldn't say it was too prejudicial to get him getting a fair trial. Skier. She reminds you of Nicole Kidman's. Do you mean Nicole Brown Simpson? Is that who you mean?
Remain mindful of Jared. This case has always been about him. It's about the life that was taken, the family left behind, and our obligation to pursue justice on his behalf. Today, a jury spoke, and today justice, in part, the beginning, was done for Jared Brightigan.
Bless this man, his dad.
Hi, my name's Gaylord Brightigan. I am the father of Jared. My first name is Gaylord, Gaylord. I just want to take a moment to thank the community, friends from afar, for all the thoughts and prayers that have been expressed to our family. We deeply appreciate it and are grateful for all of the support that we've had during this hard time for our family. I'm grateful for Kirsten and her love. Jared loved her so much. We really appreciate our relationship with her and support her fully. I just want to extend my appreciation to all of you for being here and for the community and for the love of our family that we have for all of you. Thank you.
I want to echo the gratitude and the thanks to all the law enforcement agencies, to every citizen that called in tips, to everyone that prayed for us. We would not be here today without all of them and all of you. Never in my life did I think I'd be in this situation. But I know we wouldn't have gotten this verdict today had we not had all of these people lined up to help us, to help Jared and to fight for him. When this initially started, I felt like I was alone. And I quickly realized that that was not true. I'm going to keep my remarks short. I will have much more to say after we reach the verdicts in the next two cases, but I want to echo a statement that was mentioned by Prosecutor Christina Stifler in this trial. She said, "To the living, we owe respect. To the dead, we owe the truth." Truth was seen in that courtroom. The jury saw that truth and they acted accordingly. And because of that, Mario Fernandez is a murderer and he will be put away for the rest of his life.
I mean, that is awesome right there. I don't know where his mom is. Maybe it's too hard for her.
As he deserves. And I am grateful for that. Truth won today. Justice has been served in part, and we look forward to the rest of justice being served as we continue through this process.
I just thought that was awesome. Yeah, she fought for justice. I don't know where the mom, does anyone know about her? It is definitely heartbreaking. I did not watch all of her testimony. You know which ones are his siblings? They all look the same. I don't know.
Juror 23, are you the four?
Called in tips to everyone that prayed for us.
How many siblings does he have? Yeah, it was a great statement. Is that his sister in red? These people have learned nothing. You think she can file a lawsuit against Shayna's parents or against Shayna for wrongful death? Maybe she can be Kirsten Stampin' Up. Sister in the red dress. Yeah, two brothers and a sister. I would sue him. I bet that's coming. Who's this lady over here in the green? She looks like that actress. Can't think of her name, but yeah, wrongful death. Big time. All right. Well, so the message in this tonight is don't hire a hitman, don't kill. Just, you know what? It's just part of it. And your kids will one day be 18 and then it'll all go away. Yeah. Writing. Shayna drank from the same water well as Lori Vallow, Daybell, Ruby Frank, Corey Richens, and Jody Hildebrand. I agree. And I want to do a deep dive onto Jody and Ruby because I find that in all these situations, there's another woman behind, like whispering. The dark-haired man in the gray suit got choked up. Yeah, I hope she takes the Gardners to the bank. You know they're trying to protect assets. And don't you know, like someone said earlier, just a moment ago, that Jose is trying to get Shayna's trial not with Henry. Can you imagine? The Gardners would probably flip out. Oh, I agree. I think they provided money too. Right, exactly, Tater. Divorce sucks, but it's better than murder. I mean, you need to ask yourself, do you hate someone enough that you would be okay with being caught and being on death row, life in prison? Because if you think you're going to get away with it, you're not. And that is the most selfish thing you can do for your child, frankly. Yeah, Jody and Ruby are sick. Are they still locked up? Yeah. Yeah, so when Shayna and Jared's divorce was final, she was cut off from her trust. because they wanted her to get married. I mean, what kind of messed up stuff is that? And then she's like, okay, I'm going to marry the maintenance guy at CrossFit. Okay, that's a great idea. And supposedly they really liked Mario. It doesn't make any sense. And that Kim Jansen, oh, I did want to go back. I know some of y'all are like, this has been going on, but there was another part to this at the end where they talk about the burner phone. Hold on, I wrote the timestamp on my phone. Oh, yes, this was interesting. So Shayna had hired a PR firm and was like freaking out about things about Mr. Henry's arrest, but they hadn't even named him publicly. And they also told the media that an arrest was imminent as a kind of a tickle the wire kind of thing.
At that home that was run, so to speak, by the First Choice Home Rentals LLC.
Yes, it was.
So this is a hearing from a few years ago, and this is the detective in the case, but they're explaining all the evidence.
He was arrested. What did your investigation uncover about the activity between Mario Fernandez Aldana and Shanna Gardner when their tenant was arrested on a driving charge?
Right after he was arrested, the other gentleman who was living there used an associate's phone as to not be detected to call Mr. Fernandez.
And how do you know that?
He admitted to doing that.
He told you he used someone else's phone to contact Mario Fernandez Aldana to tell him Henry Tenen was arrested.
That's correct.
Okay. What did Mario Fernandez Aldana do?
This started a flurry of calls between Ms. Gardner and Mr. Fernandez. And then Ms. Gardner then reached out to her attorney as well as her PR firm.
Okay. And I have here, is this a timeline of relevant calls for purposes of this hearing for that date, August 18, 2022?
That's correct.
MF means Mario Fernandez.
Correct.
Okay. It says here that Ms. Gardner was speaking with someone named Christopher Thomas of the Intrepid Group and someone named Linda Lucetti. Do you know who these individuals are?
I do.
And who are
Christopher Thomas is the owner or president of the Intrepid Group, and Linda Lucetti is a media relations consultant that often works with Mr. Thomas.
So she had media relations and PR people. Sound familiar? Mom and dad were freaking out, but she's getting all worked up about things before it's even public, which is a telltale sign.
they? In the course of your investigation, did you identify these individuals as having been retained by Ms. Gardner during the course of this investigation to sort of help her with her PR?
Yes, that's correct.
And Intrepid Group and Linda Lucetti, are they based out of Salt Lake City, Utah?
That's correct.
And do they have some affiliation with Ms. Gardner's mother's company?
I believe one or both of them had done some work for Stamp It Up, and they were offering their services pro bono to Ms. Gardner.
What was significant to you about this type of contact on this date?
Pro bono, yeah, because they wanted the Stampin' Up business.
I mean, the significance to me is your tenant who would likely say that you had no clue was involved in this was arrested for, you didn't know what charges at the time, yet you felt the need to alert your attorney and media consultants that your tenant of your rental property was arrested.
For a driving unsuspended license charge?
Right.
Did you make attempts to speak to Christopher Thomas and Linda Lucetti and other members of the Intrepid PR crisis management firm?
Myself and one of my colleagues flew to Utah and attempted to speak with them, and they avoided us.
Can you be more specific about your attempts and their avoidance?
Well, Ms. Lucetti was running frantically around in front of her house as to hide from me so that I could see that she was in her house. Mr. Thomas.
Oh my gosh, did y'all hear that? So the PR company, they went out there to meet with them in Utah, and the lady was in her house, the PR company, hiding from him. He could see her through the windows.
Was not at his office, went to his residence, and he had his wife answer the door a couple times to avoid speaking to me.
Were you eventually able to receive evidence and statements from Chris Thomas with Intrepid Group after he retained a criminal defense attorney?
Yes, I just said he stated he hired an attorney and contacted the state attorney's office directly.
Okay. And we'll get to the information they gave you in a moment. Moving on to states. What's been entered into evidence, States Exhibit 12. This is a text message between Ms. Jensen and Shanna Gardner on that date, August 18th, 2022. It says, "I don't want anyone to know," and Ms. Jensen says, "I'm not." Can you describe for the court the context of these text messages?
I believe this was like a lunch date that was coming up, and they did not want anyone to know that their tenant had been arrested at that time.
And this text is from the date that Henry Tennant was arrested.
That's correct.
States Exhibit, Composite Exhibit 11, are these the text messages that were turned over by Intrepid PR Group?
Yes.
Okay, and this highlighted number, does that phone number belong to the associate of the Intrepid PR Group?
Yes.
And these texts are dated August 18th and August 22nd, 2022. Was there one person who was willing to speak to you when you went to Utah?
There was.
And without using her name, can you describe who she is?
She was a junior level social media manager at the PR firm.
And she no longer worked for them when you made your trip to Utah?
That's correct.
What did she tell you about the contact between Intrepid Group and their other PR associates at the time and Ms. Gardner on this date?
As soon as Ms. Gardner found out that their tenant had been arrested, she, her words, frantically was trying to reach someone with Intrepid. She couldn't get a hold of anyone else just due to the time difference. It was very early in the morning. However, this social media person answered her phone and started taking down notes to give to Chris Thomas later on.
What did she say Ms. Gardner relayed to her?
That their tenant had been arrested and that tenant owned the truck that the police were looking for.
Moving further into States Composite Exhibit 11, these are text messages.
Gotta love the junior social media manager just blowing it. Yeah, cynical. Hey, Rain Collector, good to see you. Good evening. Cynical. The PR firm needs a PR firm.
With the Intrepid PR Group, these individuals are employees of that group, correct?
That's correct.
And this is dated August 18, 2022, the date of Henry Tennant's arrest on driving on suspended license, habitual charges. We see here, is this green? That is Mr. Thomas, who is the lead on her case.
Correct.
Okay. And he said he spoke with Shanna, and there were interesting developments in her case. And then moving on, ignore the language, but the last text message is August 24th, 2022. Can you describe for the court what your investigation uncovered as to Mr. Thomas's knowledge regarding the charges?
Just that they weren't sure what the charges were, but it seemed to be unrelated to the truck or anything to do with Jared.
And again, at the time these messages are being sent.
No, this is like a pre-trial hearing. This is years ago. This is, I guess, just trying to, I don't know, get evidence in.
Nobody other than the people who hired Henry Tennant would know of his existence as a link to the murder of Jared.
Yeah, this is why Baez now has his new defense strategy.
Writing in.
Correct.
Other than Jackson's police. In the court's binder of exhibits, States Exhibit 13 is a business record showing the authenticity of Apple records received. Did you receive evidence related to an iCloud belonging to Shanna Gardner?
Yes.
And in particular, were you looking for evidence in that cloud relevant to a Ring camera that Ms. Gardner and Mr. Fernandez Saldana had on the front of their house?
Yes, the Ring camera was located outside their front door. The day after detectives went and notified them of Mr. Bradigan's death, they asked to see or if their Ring camera had picked up anyone who might have passed by their residence. Ms. Gardner showed the Ring app to the detective, and there were no recordings past the 16th.
When you received the iCloud return of Ring footage, was there anything significant to you about what was or was not there?
On the iCloud were recordings from the Ring camera that we could also tell basically that the camera's settings were to constantly record. There were videos on the iCloud that showed both vehicles passing by their residence as well as customers coming to pick up orders or Mr. Fernandez putting an order outside their door. These were all things that would have been, it appeared would have always been picked up by the Ring camera.
These people are like rookies. So they deleted part of the Ring stuff, but then it was on the iCloud. Karen, this is a great point. Our kids only spend a quarter of their life under our care. These people seem to forget that.
However, on the night of the homicide, there was no activity on the Ring camera, at least in the app, indicating that it was likely that the information was either deleted or the camera was set to not record.
And you know that because what did AB and LB told you, or what did they tell you about how they entered the house that night, the night of the homicide?
They indicated that they would typically go through the garage. However, the garage door was closed, so they used the keypad on the front door, which would have been captured on the Ring camera.
So based on what they told you, did you expect to see at least, at minimum, a Ring footage video of AB and LB entering the home minutes before Jared Barding was killed on the night of the homicide?
Based upon the past history that was located on the iCloud, we expected to find them entering the residence as well as Jared's vehicle passing by the camera.
And there was no footage of those events?
That's correct.
And in fact, on this text,
I mean, I don't know. I don't see how Jose is gonna get them out of this. Yeah, it is a great point, Karen. John, wow, somebody bled to death in the hospital. You know what? When my first child was born, when I was in the recovery and C-section area, and I kept seeing these bloody towels like piling up, at the curtain other side of me. I'm like, what is going on? And they had to rush a woman back to the OR. She had given birth to twins and she was bleeding. I think they were able to stop it, but they had to give her a hysterectomy.
message on August 22nd, 2022, which is around the same time period Ms. Gardner is speaking to her PR firm about potential charges against Henry Tennant. Do she and Kim Jensen have a discussion about Ring footage?
Yes, I sent a subpoena to Ring, which they were nice enough
How is Kim Jensen involved in their Ring footage?
to forward to Mr.
And in fact, on this text message on August 22nd, 2022, which is around the same time period Ms. Gardner is speaking to her PR firm about potential charges against Henry Tennant, do she and Kim Jensen have a discussion about Ring footage?
Yes, I sent a subpoena to Ring, which they were nice enough to forward to Mr. Fernandez and Ms. Gardner.
Okay, so Ring was not supposed to do that, I'm presuming.
No.
And so she is
I kind of want to go to this trial next May, Jacksonville.
discussing, in this particular time in the investigation, which is significant to you, she and Ms. Jensen are discussing that Ring subpoena, and if they have it, they've given video.
Correct. In fact, there's actually a search warrant. It wasn't a subpoena. They referred to it as a subpoena.
And then State's Exhibit 14, this is a text with Ms. Jensen also regarding the cloud. And can you describe to the court what the significance of these texts are? This is September 2022.
This is Ms. Jensen basically asking Shanna or talking to Shanna about whether or not she still has her old additional cell phone. And then they were basically stating that without her creating a new cloud ID, all of her data would just essentially be backed up to the secondary cell phone, which would defeat the purpose of having a second phone.
And Ms. Jensen makes a comment, I was thinking about that damn cloud.
Correct.
when you received, most of the evidence that we've discussed in this hearing came from the cell phone of Kim Jensen.
That's correct.
Did you do examinations of cell phones, devices, clouds, returns for Shanna Gardner?
Yes, we did. We did cell phone downloads as well as Google and iCloud search warrants.
In the returns of those items, devices, and returns, did you find the same conversations that you had found on Ms. Jensen's phone?
Some of the conversations were there, but a lot of the conversations were not.
So like the ring cloud, the cloud of the ring footage, you were expecting to see evidence that was not present on Ms. Gardner's devices.
That's correct.
Henry Tennant was eventually arrested and charged with the murder of Jared Brightigan.
That's correct.
And do you recall the date on which that occurred, or the time period in which that occurred?
Early January 2023.
Leading up to the arrest of Henry Tennant, were there investigative techniques being pursued by the Jacksonville Beach Police Department?
Yes. During the time that we knew we were going to announce the charges against Tennant, we had also received a court order for a wire intercept.
And a wire intercept to intercept phone, text, and audio communications between Ms. Gardner, Mr. Fernandez Saldana, and other individuals of interest.
That's correct.
And that court order was you did an application and a judge granted that.
That's correct.
In order to get chatter generated, what did you all decide to do to what the phrase being trigger communications?
We decided to go ahead and have the wire in place before the charges were announced against Mr. Tennant. We did that, and then we made the announcement about the arrest or the.
That is the bump of the Gardner case. I like this detective. He seems very confident, laid back. Don't y'all? I mean, like, I'm very trusting of what he is saying.
The additional charges that have been added.
And before you made the announcement of Henry Tennant's arrest, did you purposely leak information to the media that a break or an arrest was imminent?
Yes.
And did the media run with that information?
Yes.
Okay. Did you say who was going to be arrested?
No.
So the information was just that an arrest or big break was coming.
That's correct.
And Your Honor, the state has moved into evidence 15, 16, and 17, which are wire recording calls of Ms. Gardner from the wiretap. For time's sake, I'm not going to play the entire calls and some detective testify to the relevant portions. Beginning with call 170, which is State's Exhibit 15, what was one of the first calls that Shanna Gardner made after this leak was out and being publicized?
She was speaking with Ms. Jensen, wondering if she should give Mario a heads up about the information she received.
And do you remember specifically in greater detail kind of how it was that she learned of the leak and what her reaction was?
I actually don't remember how she learned of the leak.
Did she describe to Ms. Jensen how she was going to give Mario a heads up or a warning that a big break was coming?
She talked about actually using her neighbor's phone in order to call Mario to give him information about it.
And that neighbor would be Marla Rogers?
That's correct.
During the entirety of the wiretap, was this a common theme that Ms. Gardner and Ms. Jensen discussed that their phones might be monitored?
Yes, that's correct. She made statements about the fact that she was warned that her phone was likely tapped.
And that was January 23rd, 2023. We're going to move on to a few days later when the arrest of Henry Tennant as the person responsible for the death of Jared Brightigan, at least responsible for the actual pulling of the trigger, is released. I want to discuss a phone call that Ms. Gardner made to her public relations firm.
I loved the song by Milli Vanilli, Blame It on the Rain. Too bad it was a lip sync song. But now I'm singing it. I had the single cassette. Remember when y'all would buy those?
On 1/25/2023. And I've included a portion of the transcript that the monitor used here. Can you describe for the court what was significant to you about this conversation?
She said that she admitted to knowing Henry, that she had met him approximately 5 years ago, but there should be no paperwork tying him to the rental property.
At the time that she made this call, The media, did a good job. They covered this fairly quickly, but at the time she made this call, had the media yet reported that Henry Tenen was linked to Mario Fernandez Saldana?
No.
At the time she made this call, had the media reported that Henry Tenen was a tenant to Mario Fernandez Saldana and Shanna Gardner's LLC?
No.
So in this call, she's telling them that Henry Tenen, the person under arrest, is in fact a tenant, but there's no paperwork or payments attaching him.
Correct.
What was the reaction of the individuals with Intrepid PR Group?
Their initial reaction was, well, that must have been a long time ago, right? Like you didn't, this was not a recent payment or anything like that. However, Ms. Gardner went on to tell them, in fact, that they had given him money earlier in the year. At that point, they basically told her that they should probably stop communicating about this.
So she advised the public relations firm that she and Mario Fernandez Saldana had paid Henry Tenen money for a pallet business within the past year.
Correct.
We discussed a call also made that day. I have the time notated wrong in here. It was at 17:27 on 125:23 between Ms. Gardner and Ms. Jensen. And was there another call in which she discussed Henry Tenen and monetary payments she made with Ms. Jensen?
Look, if Kim Jensen is not going to testify and be honest, then they need to lock her up. I don't know. She doesn't seem to have brought anything of value.
Yeah, was essentially about whether they were was Tenen going to use the information against them to garner a better deal or throw them under the bus or twist them to be involved in this.
Throughout the course of the wiretap, Ms. Gardner, and here again they're referencing that she might reactivate her other one. Were there discussion amongst them about using other devices, platforms, phones, etc., to contact each other?
Ms. Gardner and Ms. Jensen would frequently talk about whether they could use FaceTime or other applications that were encrypted to communicate so that they could not be intercepted by law enforcement.
Must have been Viber.
Not to give away state secrets, but can you evade a law enforcement interception by using other platforms and devices?
Yes, you can.
The last thing I want to talk about is some of Ms. Gardner's activities following the arrest of Mario Fernandez Saldana, which came in March of 2023 after Henry Tenen gave testimony against him. Was Ms. Gardner living in Florida during the wiretap?
Yes. Or no, excuse me, she was in Washington State.
And how did you find out that Ms. Gardner had moved from Jacksonville, Florida to Washington State?
U.S. Postal Inspector.
After Mario Fernandez Saldana was arrested for the murder of Jared Brightigan, conspiracy and solicitation and child abuse, did Ms. Gardner remain in Washington State?
No, there was a 5-month period where she was not with her children and she was moving around.
And how did you determine that?
Mostly through cell site records.
Where did you determine that she was living?
She had rented an Airbnb in Tallahassee for a while.
Wouldn't it have been funny if she was an Airbnb neighbor to Katie Kool Lady in her Airbnb? If you know, you know. That's comical.
And then at some point had moved on to Savannah.
And during this time, she was using a secondary phone or a different phone number than the one you had associated to her?
That's correct. She had activated the day that she flew from Washington to Tallahassee. She had reactivated her burner phone.
And you say quote unquote burner phone. Where did that quote come from?
When officers went to Washington to serve a search warrant, one of her children asked if we were looking for mommy's burner phone.
Can y'all imagine? So that arrest video, they don't show that part, but the kids are like, "Do you want mommy's burner phone?" Did y'all hear that? Everybody in the courtroom started laughing.
Detective Johns Obviously, Ms. Gardner did have several phones and phone numbers during the time period of investigation prior to her arrest. And your
Yes, Taterbug. I still think about that with the Christmas wine glass, and I had a poinsettia, and she was like, "This place is awesome. It's so great." And then at the end, she was like, "Screw this place," and she was slamming the storm door. I'll never forget it. I do kind of miss those. I mean, they were entertaining.
team effectuated arrest on her in August of 2023 in West Richland, Washington.
That's correct.
Why did you all make the decision to effectuate an arrest on her rather than allowing her to turn herself in?
We wanted to make sure that she did not attempt to flee. Her parents had considerable assets, and it would be very easy, given her geographic position, to get on a private jet and fly there.
When you did research into the financials of her home in West Richland, Washington, who bought that home and who paid for it?
It was purchased by an LLC that is owned by her parents.
Detective Johns, I have one more here.
Is that even legal? I mean, I guess it is, but an LLC bought the house. This just seems like a lot of tax avoidance, if you know what I'm saying. Must have been Viber. Yeah. I do wish we had those old YouTube videos of Katie Cool Lady. I did enjoy watching them. Like when she was driving down there to Tallahassee for Donna's trial, before it got canceled, and she just happened to run into Sarah Catherine. It was crazy. And she's all getting settled, and and I'll never forget, she had her Nespresso machine that she traveled with, which I can respect because I love my Nespresso machine. Like when I get back home from being out of town, but she travels with it. And it was just like how great it was. And then in the end, she's like, "Screw this place. These are cheap Dollar Tree glasses." It was just like the whole meltdown.
Yes. Detective Johns, I'm winding down. I just want to summarize the main points of your testimony that I think are important for the court to consider. One being, where did the money that was paid to Henry Tennant to kill Jared Brighton come from?
The money came from the trust that was established by Mr. and Mrs. Gardner.
Ding, ding. The money came from the trust that was established by Shelley and Sterling Gardner. You don't think her parents watched that?
And was that trust held in the name of Shanna Gardner?
No. Well, it was, the trust itself was named the Shanna Gardner Irrevocable Trust, yes.
And the funds from the Shanna Gardner Revocable Trust that paid Henry Tennant were moved from the trust into First Choice Home Rentals LLC.
That's correct.
And the owners of the LLC are who?
The owners of the LLC are Shanna Gardner and Mario Fernandez.
And Detective Johns, of your entire investigation, was there anybody else that you uncovered with a motive of such depth and breadth as that of Ms. Gardner to have Jared Brighton killed?
No.
And in your investigation, you obviously uncovered all these trail of individuals and text messages in which Ms. Gardner incited, encouraged, solicited, and asked other individuals to help find someone, procure someone to do this task.
Yes.
And Ms. Gardner, again, never mentioned any of this information to you when you interviewed her as a witness looking for helpful information in this case.
That's correct. He never mentioned anything.
And she never came forward, even over time, as all of these other events unfolded, including Mario's Fernandez Saldana's unexplained trip up north, the arrest of Henry Tennant.
What do y'all think that was, Mario's trip up towards Canada, but then he came back? Was it because he was essaying the children? Was it to get rid of a weapon? I've always kind of wondered. John Smith, now she sits on the patio, talks about Trader Joe's, her book. Has she finished her book yet? And the occasional smear campaign. Oh. Oh, the bathrobe, drinking the towel, drinking wine. Oh, in the hot tub, right? Yes, the epic meltdown. And she door dashed in the middle of the hurricane or right after it, the $15 latte. And she didn't want to give up her parking space in the garage and the air conditioning. Yep, skier, follow the money. Oh, cynical. Wasn't Katie Coolady the woman that was victim because her dad killed her mom or something like that? Her sister was murdered. She had married, I think, a German man, if I recall, and he had stabbed her and killed her. And then her mom had died when she was young, and then the dad remarried pretty quickly, and then they'd like removed everything of their mom in the house and were just like, oh, we're a new family. But then her dad died and left her some money. I think that's the story. Oh my God. Yeah, the sister was murder. It was her twin sister? I didn't know that. Yeah, bride again, Mormon. Yep. Oh, yeah. I just think the Gardners, Shanna's parents, need to be investigated. But yeah, there's a lot about Stampin' Up on YouTube. You can see a lot of videos with Shelley, the mom that founded it. It's very interesting. Cynical. Yeah, it was mindless entertainment. The trust and LLC are all to avoid taxes, right? I mean, I just think buying a house in an LLC name, is that business? Like, are they doing business at that home? Why are they doing that? He was maybe thinking of fleeing, never made it to Canada. And then he spent the night on somebody's couch in North Carolina. And I think in these new documents, there's something about that. Oh, she's going to finish the book this year? Yeah. Well, thanks, everybody. It wasn't her twin. It was the older sister. Shelley was the other woman. Yeah. Okay, well, so this was good. So I know we confused a lot of people because we were jumping around on both cases, but there is a lot sleeping at John's place. Yeah. Hey, was Mario on your couch, John? Oh, Lord. Okay. Well, y'all stay tuned. We've got more stuff coming. And Karen, I'm so happy you were here and it was fun being with y'all. But if y'all want to watch that, the one I just showed, that is on Court TV. It's an hour and 45 minutes. And it was from 2 years ago. And it's called Shanna Gardner Texts Reveal Years of Plotting Microsoft Execs Murder. I got to tell you, that is a very juicy hearing. So, oh, Shelley was the woman the dad cheated with and left his wife and got with Shelley. Are you serious? Oh, heck, I missed that. All right. Thanks, everybody. Good night. Y'all have a good one.
I'm Lazy B, just a seeker, a story keeper, and we're still watching, waiting.